It's a dark night. It's a dark night. It's a dark.
Well, welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's your good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. Sure I'm glad everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this one, we got an Open Lines Wednesday. Very special edition because there's a lot of drama going on. A lot of he said, she said, people changing their minds. First it's this fight, then it's that fight. Young fighters claiming to be retired because they can't take the heat online. A heavyweight fighter who certainly can't take the heat online and is threatening to beat people up because they dare to question some of his points of views. And Ryan Garcia, maybe there's hope for the young kid, realizing that Floyd Mayweather does not have his best interests at heart. All of that plus more. This is again Open Lines Wednesday, special edition of Open Lines, meaning anybody can join. Well, almost anybody. Certain undesirables might not be allowed, depending on their standing. They might have to make a ritual sacrifice of some sort to be able to get in on the panel today. But anyway, guys, this is your show. Got a couple of subjects lined up, but at the end of the day, we can talk about what you want, as long as it's interesting. And that's about it, fellas. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Quentin Lassiter, Night Murph. Who else we got? Eparokua, Skull Kid 25, Fluffy Toasters 89. Shout out to Sean Anthony. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company 10-4. Alejandro Solis. And then many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. All right, so now, I think I talked to Bucho about this, that the way we're going to be doing these open lines is we're not going to be using the Open Lines Friday link. We're going to create a separate room, and whoever clicks on the link will be able to get in, I believe. Well, I don't even know if that's going to work out because I have to create a room first and people actually have to answer. Hold on a second. Let me call a couple of people here. Butch, if you're listening, I'm going to need you and maybe another person to nah, he didn't do that. Yeah, I need another person. All right, we got Jimmy. Jimmy, hold on. It's Open Lines special Wednesday edition, so I got to invite more people. It's going to take us to another room, or it should take us to another room. And once we're there, we can pretty much do whatever we want. Shout out! Don't forget, fellas, you can join us on, or you can listen to us on Spreaker, iTunes, and Spotify at your leisure. All right, at your leisure. And don't forget to hit that like, fellas. It really helps us out. Really helps us out. Where's Recognize the Matrix? Hold on a second. All right, I think we've got the room ready here. So let me just invite people. Well, what's Bucho doing? Hey, Bucho, what is that? That's the link now. How about I create the link, Bucho? How about you let me do that? This is my show today. I run it. All right, there's the link, everybody. So, again, do not go to the Open Lines Friday, Discord. Hit that link there. All right, Open Lines right there. All right, Jimmy, thank you for jumping in. Now, we gotta talk about a couple of things here. By the way, I'm gonna share my screen with you here. So make sure to click on that. It's required viewing for the test that will be coming up, all right? Now, Jimmy.
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk about supposedly now the rumor was that Canelo was going to face Jermall Charlo, who's half a crackhead at this point, and then fight David Benavidez later. Terence Crawford later in the year. And the usual suspects jumped on it, started besmirching Canelo and the fight itself. Although I did see, interestingly enough, Jimmy, I saw polls of varying results. Some polls claim that most people want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. Other polls claim most people want to see Canelo versus Crawford. So it seems like boxing fans are a little bit divided on that issue. Now, not that long ago, I don't know, a couple of minutes ago maybe, Samson Lukowitz said that David Benavidez expects Canelo versus Benavidez to happen in September and that it is indeed a 2-fight deal. Now, I don't know if that means that the Benavidez fight would be a 2-fight deal, which I don't think that's in part of Canelo's contract unless they added stuff to it. Here's what it says. It says the same Pro Box TV source who told us Jermall is the likely frontrunner to fight Canelo this summer also said that any deal struck between the pound-for-pound star and Benavidez would likely be a 2-fight deal. When we mentioned this to Lukowitz, he said, definitely, it's supposed to happen in September. He continued, that fight is supposed to happen. And I believe if you want to go with the legacy, you need to fight Benavidez. All right, blah, blah, blah. So, Jimmy, again, boxing fans seem to be divided. Well, first of all, let me ask you, what do you expect to happen in September? If you could pull out your crystal ball, what's the most likely scenario here?
There's a lot of factors involved. First off, let's see what we're going into this to see what Crawford's doing. I like to see pictures. Is he gaining weight? Honestly, though, they would have to sign him for another because he's only got 2 fights left. I don't see how they're going to. He's obviously not fighting both Crawford and Benavidez in those last 2 fights. So one or the other. If he's only going to do 2 more fights, it's going to either be Benavidez or Crawford. Honestly, I mean, see, there's a lot of people calling for Crawford, the name, what he did to Spencer. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like retribution. Other people just want to see Canelo lose for all intents and purposes. Whereas another whole section of people saying, well, if he takes the Crawford fight, it doesn't matter who he takes besides Benavidez, it'd be ducking, right? They would consider it a duck no matter who he takes. Mm-hmm. Clearly, Crawford's a more skilled fighter, but Benavidez, it's about size. You know what I mean? Which one would affect his legacy? Like, you take all the factors. If I'm Canelo, I'm sitting back saying, which one would secure my legacy? My opinion would be beating Benavidez because he's the big guy, supposedly boogeyman of that division. Nobody wants anything to do with. I mean, that's at least what his most ardent fans say. Whereas Crawford is the skilled, hands down, the most skilled American right now. But the problem is he's fighting at 147. At greatest victory was literally 3 divisions lower than what you're campaigning at. So it's a lose-lose situation. I mean, I can't see it being a winning situation because you beat Crawford, you knock him out even. Nobody's going to give you that victory. Definitely not your detractors. You're ducking because you're fighting them. And then if you knock him out, you only beat up a little fucking welterweight. Right. So for legacy-wise, he has to fight Benavidez. The fight in there, what sucks, like, I have no excuse for it. I've always defended Canelo, right? Even when he was fighting Triple G and I was a bigger Triple G fan, I still didn't disrespect Canelo. I will not be pleased at all. In fact, I won't even buy the fight if he fights Charlo next. And the reason being, you already beat up his identical twin, the one who's, I personally think, more of a fighter and the skilled of the two. It's just like this other guy's a fucking drug addict. Like, no. I mean, Munguia, there's so many other fights. The problem is the politics. Everybody agrees that nobody's going to Haymon's not going to let him fight outside the PBC. So what, Morrell? But again, he's not going to take on 2 serious big punches in that time period. So if he does fight Charlo, which again, I'm not asking for, nor do I condone, I can't see how it wouldn't be Benavidez in September. So that's I pretty much think it's going to be that because I think Crawford's like, I don't know, dude. He knows that's the big money fight. But at the end of the day, I think retiring undefeated means something to Crawford. And whether it's, well, he was 3 times, divisions bigger, it's still a loss. And if he gets stopped, that's a bad loss. All right, now, Jimmy, I got a coach. Yes. Sorry. I don't think people are getting the concept of the open lines, this new thing. So we're gonna head back to the old room. All right, the open lines Friday Discord.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. So hang see up. You there. Yeah.
All
right. See you there, man. Yes, indeed. So it's Open Lines Friday. We were trying to do it in a separate room, but people aren't getting it. So we're going to go back to the Open Lines Friday server. Here's the link for that. There you go. Make sure to get in there. And so you get it. Jimmy's right, though. Most people aren't going to... All right, we're in the room now. All right, fellas, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, right.
I can hear you.
All right, Jimmy. Jimmy, you were okay. So, did you want to continue making some points here because you made some excellent points that if he's in a bit of a bind, if he fights Crawford, no one's going to give him credit, and even I suspect if he fights Benavidez, there's still going to be some people that aren't going to give him credit if he wins. But here's my thing, Jimmy.
He won't win the fight because he won't fight him. But go ahead.
Well, that's not what Samson Lukowitz is saying now. Now they're saying because listen. people have to start realizing that whenever they leak some rumor about, he's going to fight Charlo and Crawford, they're gauging how people react. They're playing mind games. There's a lot of shadow play going on here that most people aren't aware of. So now Sampson Lukowicz is saying, yeah, they're negotiating a 2-fight deal with Benavidez. But my thing is this. If he fights Crawford, I'm seeing a lot of polls. It seems like there's a big demand for Canelo Crawford because people see Crawford as this unbeatable force, pound-for-pound stalwart that can go up to multiple divisions. What do you think, guys? Do you think we see Benavidez Canelo, or do you think we see Canelo Crawford?
We don't see Benavidez Canelo because Canelo is going to cherry pick another drunk black that's had one fight in 4 years. He'll demolish him in a mismatch fight that no one cares about, and he'll fight Crawford in another mismatch fight that no one cares about. Crawford's not unbeatable. No fighter is unbeatable. And if he goes up 3 weight classes, he's going to get picked apart. He's going to get smashed. It's a mismatch fight, and it doesn't do anything for boxing. Of course, you have the BLM groupies and shit like that want to hope that these guys can win. But like they don't have a prefrontal cortex that's not damaged, so they can't think rationally, right? So they make excuses for.
There's no such thing as free will, though.
Dora,
there's no such thing as free will, so you can't blame
them
because there's no such thing as. Well, that's what I'm saying. So there's no such thing as free. There's no such thing as free. There's no such thing as free will according to you. So there's no such thing as free will according to you. There's no such thing as free will according to you. So you can't. So you can't blame them. You can't blame them. You can't blame them then because they got no free will. So
don't blame them. Have some compassion for people. Have some compassion for people who have mental illness.
There you go.
Fuck that.
Now,
fuck that.
All right.
All right. Now, but listen. Here's my. Let me just put it up on the screen here for those of you that might have missed it, because I think this happened not that long ago. The Sampson Lukowicz thing, where he says the same ProBox TV source who told us Jamal is likely the front runner to fight Canelo this summer is also said that any deal struck between the pound-for-pound star and Benavidez will likely be a 2-fight deal. So, from what I understand and from what Lukowicz said later on in the quote that they have here is that it would be a 2-fight deal against Benavidez, which would make sense, right? He would want to have the option of, let's say Benavidez beats him, which is a possibility. Maybe Canelo would want a second shot, depending on how he goes.
Yeah, the 2-fight deal, that's what that means. It just means he's doing a rematch clause. Because he's gonna strike the deal not with Lukowicz. The actual deal would be with the PBC. So he's just saying we have to, that's what the second one means. We're trying to, make sure we get a rematch clause in there. Which I don't think, honestly, Canelo's not going to give him a rematch clause. Meaning, if Canelo wins, he's not going to let anybody dictate whether he has to fight him again.
It'll be a one-way rematch clause.
It'll be a one rematch. Yeah, it'll be for Canelo's way. If Canelo was to lose, he'll have the option, which is the way it's always gone. The A side, especially an A side by a country mile. I mean, we've seen what Benavidez brings in. Don't get me wrong. I want to see the fight, but on his own, that kid doesn't move the needle at all. So this is another promotion. Regardless who Canelo fights, that promotion's off his back, 100% off his back. He could go fight a lawn chair, and it's going to bring us pretty much the same. It depends on how sick people are of it, but regardless, Benavidez, Morel, Charlo, Canelo's the name that's the most important one on the ticket.
Well, it's interesting, Jimmy, because...
you're right. Go ahead, BDA.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say you're right, Jim. Canelo's got a lot of groupies that are willing to pay for mismatches, so... if he fights guys like Charcoal and shit like that, the other brother, they'll pay for it. I don't think it's going to do the numbers his little brother did because he's kind of in a rut where, he was saying Jermell was the better fighter, the better brother. So now you got Jamal who looked like ass and lost 3, maybe 4 rounds to a natural welterweight. He's had one fight in 3 or 4 years. And if he gets the shot, nobody's going to want to see it. I actually think, to be honest with you, if Benavidez and Munguia fought right now, that would do bigger numbers than Canelo versus Charlo. I really do. Because both of those guys are way more respected at this point, far more highly touted than Jamal Charcoal is. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Real quick. Yeah. That's what I was going to say, and we were talking about that in the last show, I believe, that it would make sense to make Munguia versus Canelo, and then Canelo Benavidez if Canelo beats Munguia, because that would be 2 fights which a lot of people would buy because they know that Canelo would be fighting guys that come head-to-head, that are going to come to fight. But the reason why they're going with Charlo is because they want to replenish those PBC coffers. And if they do a Munguia fight, even though we would do way better than a Charlo fight, they would have to split the pot. Therein lies the problem.
I mean, it's gonna make Abdul Wahid look like the face of boxing. That number is in that fight. Like, it's gonna do like maybe 300,000 buys. It's such a mismatch. Nobody's gonna care about it, man. Gross. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what that Mexico bum Canelo does next. I am excited though for some other news. You know, Navarrete is gonna fight Dennis Baranchyk for the vacant WBO title at 135. Shakir was retired, so you know if Loma gets Babas Kambosos, we'll get a unification between two multi-weight champions in 2024. Because Tank's not gonna fight anybody, and then Shakur, he should be fighting guys like Murataya to earn his shot at one of those guys. Because he looked so ass in his last fight, he's gonna have to take a pay cut, drop the ego, and try and perform well against Murataya, an undefeated fighter that could take his spot in a fight people would actually be interested in. But
and that's all the retirement is, too, by the way. Yeah. It's just because on the 20th, he tweeted out...
let's stick... Sorry, Jimmy. We gotta stick to the first subject. Then we'll get to that one. I mean, unless you guys want to get down to that one, because I mean, I don't know. I think I get the feeling maybe some of you are tired of talking
about it. Canelo's a fucking cherry picker, man. This is boring. This is not fun. Like, well,
according to Dora, Canelo has only dogged Benavidez. That's the fight. That's the only guy he's dogged basically at 168. There's nobody else. So to call him Benavidez is so dangerous that Canelo has been dogging him for years now. It's pathetic. I mean,
name one fighter Canelo's fought at 168 is better than Benavidez.
He fought everybody except Benavidez. He's the only one left. That's the thing. That He cleaned up the division for Benavidez. Basically,
he went on a white boy bash.
You don't like to hear this, but he cleaned up the division,
and that was it.
All right, let me talk. We've been hearing you talk the whole time. Canelo cleared the division for Benavidez. Benavidez has been in that division for a while as well. He hasn't done anything, and then he took on Plant, which was basically Canelo's leftovers. And then he moves up to fight Bivol, and then he moves up. But for some reason, Benavidez is so great, so dangerous that Canelo, who cleaned up 168. He's afraid, he's afraid of this guy. That's ridiculous.
So it's not that hard to understand. And that's
How did he clean at 168 without fighting David?
You don't want to give Canelo credit. It's stupid. It's stupid. He's
Bucho. He's going to lose Benavidez.
All right, let's hear me, Raj, man. Let's hear me, Raj. Raj wants to say something.
Of his era.
Well, you promised me, Bucho.
All right.
You promised me that Canelo's fighting David this year. What happened to that promise, man?
Exactly. Is the year over? Is the year over?
No, not yet. No, it's not confirmed, but it's not looking good for that shit-ass promise.
Hey, Mirage,
you're coming over with Mirage. The year's not over yet.
Let me talk.
By the way, I didn't promise anything. I didn't promise. I said, I promise you he's going to fight Benavidez. I said he's going to fight Benavidez. He's not afraid of Benavidez. I just proved Canelo's why Canelo wouldn't be afraid of Benavidez. He cleaned up the whole division. He fought Bivol at 160, 175.
Life and death with the rider.
Mirage. Hold on. Mirage.
Oh, here we go.
Let me talk.
We're gonna play this game again, and then we're gonna let's look at David Benavidez's career. What has he done? We're gonna waste our time.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. BDA.
Mirage, you're saying you seem to have bought the news again because you seem to buy a lot of things without questioning them.
I've been saying this for 2 years, man.
Hold on, Mirage, you're interrupting me. Excuse me, you're interrupting me.
Mr. BDA.
No, because now Mirage knows that Canelo's going to fight him in 2024.
Mirage. So these rumors came out that supposedly he's going to fight Charlo and then Crawford. It just came out now, and I'm putting it up on the screen here. Samson Lukowicz says they're negotiating a Canelo Benavidez 2-fight deal for September. So what are you going to believe? That's what I've been telling you, fucking idiots. Stop believing every little thing that they leak. We don't know yet what's going to happen. And you guys, every time there's something that's leaked, you guys act like, oh my God, the fight's made.
Who leaked it, Mr. BDA?
I don't know. It's ProBox, apparently. ProBox contacted a source. And then they contacted Lukowicz, who said definitely it's supposed to happen in September.
No, I'm sorry. I meant about the Crawford. Who was the person behind the Crawford leak?
That was an ESPN Spanish guy who's been wrong before, according to IBFP.
Oh, yeah, so again, he has been.
You see that people like Mirage, they hate Canelo, and they're just willing to listen to a little rumor, and they jump on the fence, off the fence rather. I'm adamant, and I've been saying, Booty Juice. By the way, there's a lot of background noise. Booty Juice.
Roll the window down.
Buddy Juice, there's a lot of background noise. You need to get somewhere quiet. I've said this before, and we've had this conversation numerous times. I want to see Benavidez Canelo. But I'm not alone in this boxing world. According to certain polls, there's a lot of people that want to see Crawford versus Canelo. I dare say, looking at the economic status right now and the demand, I think Canelo Crawford would actually outdo Canelo Benavidez on pay-per-view. So this whole thing about he should fight this guy...
Demand? You reckon there's more demand for...
let him just finish, Mirage. Just let him finish.
I do believe that there might be more demand.
Oh.
But we're not going to know because I don't think Canelo's going to fight both guys. I think he's going to pick one of those guys this year. And look, it should be Benavidez. But this whole thing of, like, again, just a little PSA. Whenever they leak news, don't jump at the gun and start thinking that it's already all decided and set. Because, again, remember in 2021, there were rumors that Canelo was going to fight Makabu. And people were jumping at the gun saying, oh my God, he shouldn't be getting a title shot at cruiserweight and blah, 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 blah. And then it didn't happen. He fought Bevo.
BDA, can you put up my screen, like my thing?
I can, but I'm not going to.
All right. Fight Hub did a poll yesterday. 66,000 votes, Fight Hub. Benavidez or Crawford for Canelo next. 65% Benavidez, 35% Crawford. Cut this bullshit that, Crawford's more popular. This is cap.
No, it's not cap, because close. I saw another poll. I saw another poll that said the opposite.
Oh, what poll? Better than this?
I'm pretty sure this, that scientific poll that he...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God! And then Fight Hype. I mean, I don't know who goes to Fight. I think I know who goes to Fight. I know who goes to Fight Hype. I know who goes to Fight. Listen, it's possible, but it's also possible that the other poll that Mr. BDA mentioned is also accurate. So I mean,
yeah. What sample? This had 66,000 motherfuckers.
Well, I mean, the methodology used. I mean, I don't think they're going to.
Even your poll here right now. Even your little dog shit poll. David Benavidez leading.
It doesn't matter. Listen, I want to see the Benavidez fight, but I'm just, I question these people that say that Canelo believe that Canelo's afraid of Benavidez. That's ridiculous.
Excuse me, if I may interject.
You guys give Canelo a pass for taking mismatch layup fights because you guys aren't fans of boxing.
Bivol wasn't a mismatch. Bivol wasn't a mismatch. And he cleaned that whole division. You know, if Benavidez would have fought all these super middleweights that Canelo fought, you wouldn't have called those mismatches or anything like that. You would have said, what a great... Well, Benavidez did a great job cleaning up the division, but still, he didn't clean the division. He didn't do shit. He was on the sidelines. He was on the sidelines.
UK bum. They're domestic level fighters.
He cleaned the division. I don't know what else you want him to do. I don't know what else you want him to do. Other than fight Benavidez, there's nothing else Canelo can... Other than the Benavidez fight, there's nothing else Canelo can do to satisfy you. Even cleaning up the division is not enough because he cleaned the division and all of a sudden what happens? Oh, well, this guy sucks. This other guy sucks. All of them suck. All of them suck except David Benavidez. All of them suck except David Benavidez. All of them suck except David Benavidez.
Right.
So it's a division with one single fucking guy, David Benavidez.
No, number one contender for like fucking years. Yeah, that's it.
So he didn't play on the division. There's one guy left. He's gonna fight him, and that's it. But start saying Canelo's a bomb cherry picker. You're fucking dumb. You're dumb as fuck. One division, one guy waiting.
Hey, that's Samson Lukowicz, dude. I said for ages. That guy talks shit. He said David was going to fight Morrell last year. Lukowicz talks out of his ass. I don't trust Lukowicz, okay? BDA. So that source. And what does it mean, 2-fight deal? So it's going to be a rematch.
Deal means a rematch clause. That means a 2-fight deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a rematch.
Listen to these guys in the chat.
I want that room. I mean, when's somebody going to confirm this? Why is it a big secret? Why is it an undercover secret?
Because it gets people like you talking. It gets people like you riled up, and that's what they want to see, man.
Yeah, exactly. Mirage already knows the truth because he saw some rumor. By the way, Bentley Sports in the chat says Canelo cleaned the division when it was convenient. See, he can never get any credit. Oh, he cleaned. Yes, he cleaned the division. Yes, he did clean the division, but when it was convenient, there's always something.
Hey, Dora,
how many boxers clean the division? Yeah, I know. This guy. How many boxers clean divisions these days? How many boxers? Answer the fucking question.
2.
How many boxers can clean divisions? Name me a few boxers that have cleaned the division.
Canelo never cleared the division. So your premise.
All right, shut the fuck up. This is ridiculous.
How do you clear a division without fighting the number one dude? How does that work?
Let's.
Exactly.
This is the open line.
He had all the belts, Mirage.
That doesn't
This
mean
is-
you clean the
Because
division.
Benavidez got stripped.
How do you clean a division? Then it's up to you. You decide. You
Beat the
decide when
top
he cleans
dude.
the division. You decide when he cleans the division.
You're a dumb bitch.
Well, amazing.
Tough guys. That's
All right,
what
hold
really
on, hold on.
Amazing.
Okay, hey,
Clean the
this
division.
is
George
open lines.
Kambosos
This is
clean out
open lines. This is
134,
open line. This is open lines. Friday, Wednesday special edition, so everybody gets to talk. We need to let other people talk too. All right, let Real talk. Who just jumped in. I think he wants to say something. Go ahead, Real talk.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to see y'all. Honestly, I don't understand why we're treating this like an either-or situation. Yeah, I've always been of the opinion, and I've argued for the past, I don't know how long, that the Benavidez fight was supposed to be in September. But I guess the way that they're looking at it now, I feel like the Benavidez and Canelo fight is more lucrative on its own standalone contractual fight, as opposed to a part of the 3-fight deal. And at the same time, I think Al Heyman is just trying to get his boys paid. We all know Jamal doesn't deserve that fight. We all know he's not where he needs to be mentally, physically. We all know he's not capable of beating Canelo, but we know that Al Heyman needs to get his boy paid, and I think that's all this is.
But Canelo's allowing him to take. He's giving
But
him the
Canelo is just
opportunity.
paying everybody off. He doesn't care.
Exactly.
Doesn't care who fights.
He's giving all these inactive, small, drunk, black American fighters millions and millions of dollars in mismatched fights instead of actually fighting the number one guy for the most money in the most competitive legacy fight because he's a cherry picker. He's a
All these black small fighters, like what are you talking about? All these black small fighters.
Mexican Floyd Mayweather.
All these black small fighters.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good point that Butch is making. Is who are these small black fighters that Canelo's been beating up on?
They're inactive drunks that like to punch women in the eye in their eyeballs.
Who? But you're not naming names. Name names.
Charlo, I guess, and who else?
These fights are jokes, man. They're
what's the other black small fighter?
Didn't Benavidez?
So imagine he fights
what's the other black fighter?
A historical
all right,
middleweight and a historical welterweight.
Dora, you're extremely annoying because
didn't Benavidez do that in his last fight?
Dora, you're extremely annoying because you're being
that was one in the ring. He
can
was
you guys hear me? Oh my god! You know what? This is why I don't like hosting Open Lines Friday because nobody can hear what the fuck I have to say. Dora, you're being very evasive, circuitous with your answers. Butch asked you a simple question, and instead of answering it, you start talking about, historically, blah blah blah. Dora, you got no arguments, man. Okay. I'm sorry, I gotta. And it's not because I know Butch. It's not because I know Butch longer than you.
You're not even listening. You're not even listening.
Well, I can't hear him. What is it?
You can't hear me. Come on.
What was the question? Say it again.
You were saying that Canelo's fighting all these small black fighters. Are you talking about Charlo? Who else? Because it seems like he fought a lot of smaller black American fighters.
Jamal, Crawford, 3 historical.
He didn't fight Jamal. He fought one. He fought Jamal. Who else? Who else did he fight?
Jamal is going to be next, and then you're going to have Crawford number 3.
No. You said he's fighting all these smaller guys.
Cherry picking smaller black fighters that are inactive because they're mismatched fights. And his
Dora, those neither of
Jamal. He's going to fight Jamal. Do you say?
Yep.
He hasn't fought him yet.
Next. He will fight Jamal, and because he has a hand-picked schedule, a hand-picked cherry schedule, and this is why.
Hey, who told you that?
What do you mean? You told me that? Why is he negotiating a fight with Jamal? He's a front runner. He's a front runner to that next fight.
How do you know?
By all sources, he is the front runner to that next
fight. By all
sources,
okay.
Yes, he's a front runner. All right, tell him this. They're going to contract him Munguia, then he won't. Tell him this in a contract to David Benavidez, he won't. Dude, you guys support Canelo in anything he does.
I don't even know who's. I don't know how you know all this information. Like who sent a contract to who? I mean, I don't know how you know all of this.
All right, Bucho, how much money you want to bet he fights Jamal next?
Here we go.
I don't know how you know all of this. I don't know how you know he didn't send a contract or who sent a contract to who, and who's the front runner and who's the second. I mean, you seem to know a lot of it. You seem to know a lot about what's going on behind the doors.
How much money do you want to bet he fights Jamal? How much do you want to bet he fights Jamal next? How much do you want to bet?
I don't know if you're going to fight him. And just because you want to make a bet doesn't mean it's going to happen.
It is.
Doesn't mean you might be an idiot betting, but that's it.
It's. I mean.
Listen. I gotta.
I mean, you have no arguments. Or you're making bets now. You gotta make a bet.
I
That's
have to
somehow gonna prove that you're
reiterate.
right.
Hey, I have
He
to
is
reiterate the
very
placing a
fact.
bet.
I have
active
to.
fighters.
All right, let
I
BDA
ha-
talk.
I have to
guys,
reiterate the
Mr. BD
fact.
is talking.
Thank you, guys. Can you? Am I getting drowned out here on the audio? Is that what's going on? Because I
A
might have to
little bit,
increase.
yeah. That's what happens when you
All
host.
right, all right. Now
Yeah, I
I'm
can
boosting
hear
it.
you fine. I think you're just ignoring you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Dora seems to interrupt a lot. But I mean, listen. The point is this. Again, the news are now. Samson Lukowicz is saying that David Benavidez is starting to be set for September. All right, and again, and Bucho brought up a great point. Like, oh, Canelo cherry picks on all these black guys, smaller black guys, and Dora brought up Crawford and Charlo. Neither of those has happened yet. And yeah, I do think they're gonna face Charlo, which is a waste of time. But again, that's because they want to keep everything in house with the PBC. As long as we get that Benavidez fight in September, I think it's all going to be good. And again, I've been people like Jimmy and Bucho have been, and myself have been around this for years now, where people always talk about, oh, this guy doesn't want to fight that guy. And then the fight happens. And all this discussion was for naught, just a waste of time. So we're going to stick to see what happens with that. But I think too many people jumped the gun. Now, I wanted to bring up another thing here. And I want to start off with Jimmy because he wanted to get into this as well. Shakur Stevenson yesterday dropped a bombshell that not a lot of people are buying. But nevertheless, he says now he is retiring from boxing. I believe his exact quote was, I'm looking for it here, but he says, I'm officially retiring from the sport of boxing. I'll be in the gym forever, perfecting my craft and helping the next generation become great and chase their dreams. I think he meant their dreams. But I ain't fucking with this weak boxing game. Jimmy, what's this all about here?
Okay. Personally, I can tell you what my opinion is on it. 9 days before he sent out that ridiculous tweet, he sent out another one, and it said, I think 3 or 4 simple words, free agent season, or something along those lines. I can tell you exactly right now. Let me just see. I'll tell you exactly what he said.
Well, for the moment, just paraphrase.
Okay, yeah, it was that. Yeah, that's what he said. He said, free agent season this year, a bunch of eyeballs. So he knew that. Everybody knew that going into the last fight, DeSantos. I think he tweeted that out on the date that his contract ended, the final fight with. He could go talk to people legally. And I think what happened, honestly, his manager, who I think is Freddie Prince, reached out to people.
No,
I know it's James Prince, but anyways.
Hold on. It's not Freddie.
James Prince.
James Prince.
What's that? Yeah, I know. I was busting him off. But I think he reached out to people, and I think what happened, their office were either not even entertained or I don't think he had any cause. I think he was expecting people to knock the door down. And if he did reach out to people, I'm sure he was disappointed to the degree that's what pushed this. And I think what happened, he even talked to Bob, because the room was Bob was straight out saying, no, go test, free waters, go test, let's see what you get. And he's realizing now, he's going to realize even that Bob's probably, I guarantee this, I'd almost bet my life on. In fact, if you stay with us, we're going to need to restructure things going forward, because we're not paying you $3 million to have people boo for 36 minutes, chanting Navarrete while you're fighting. This is sports entertainment, and you can't send people scurrying to the fucking doors. Now, that's twice within 2 years he's had to apologize for a performance. You know what I mean? Within 2 years, he's had to say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't feel good. That was been his first initial excuse after both fights of putting out those stink bombs. So he's in a precarious situation. Either eat crow, take a huge pay cut, which I almost guarantee Bob's saying, you're going to need to earn that shit back. But it's the lack of accountability. Now it's everybody else's fault. You know what I mean? And I'm sure we're going to touch on some other shit earlier. I don't even know if you saw, but I want to talk about some Jared Anderson later. Just remind me if I forget.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But just correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the Nakatila desultory performance was in 2019. Or was that in...
2021.
Was that post? Okay, so that was post-pandemic.
2021.
Okay. So it's within... it's close to within 2 years. Yeah, man. Yeah, so you're saying that it's Top Rank is saying, look, kid, you can stay with us, future of boxing and all that, but you just $3 million to board people that just... Do you think that could have happened pre-pandemic, or even in the golden days of HBO, where they could subsidize having, they had guys like De La Hoya and Trinidad and who did bring in the money, and they could afford to, bank on a boring fighter who was good. Do you think that could have happened in earlier days?
It could have happened, but he would have been blasted. A part of all HBO contracts, they would tell you, if say they signed a 5-fight deal with you, 3-fight deal with you, they famously had in all their contracts, we reserve the right to tell you to fuck off anytime we want. Meaning, if you get outside the ring, get arrested, they're not going to put you on. If you do something stupid, or in, like, say, Boo Boo's case, he signed a 3-fight deal, he fought twice, they cut him loose. They did that with Andrew Ward at one point, too. Yeah, no, they'll tell you, we don't need this shit. I mean, that performance he put on Del Santos, I mean, that's like career defining. Like he was fighting that guy like that was a 1988 Mike Tyson, the way he was trying, avoid getting hit. So yeah, he needs to, like, I'm sure Bob's going to say, we'll give you 1.5 million even then he's lucky to be getting that. But for him to be still tweeting out even after that performance, yeah, exactly. But if him to tweet out, free agent season with the big eyes, like, dude, are you serious? Like, what other profession? Like, imagine you're a heart surgeon, you trip in the operating room and stab the dude in the heart with a fucking scalpel. The guy dies, and you say, I'm going to start sending my resume out. You know what I mean? It's like certain times you don't fucking brag. And it just never ceases to amaze me. No accountability. Like, he should be walking with eggshells, tweeting with eggshells, like, yeah, man, I owe the fans something. Yes,
he's a punk. His whole career.
But he's
Hold on.
Let me finish.
His whole career, he's been hanging around people who've been blowing smoke up his ass, like he's the second coming of Floyd. You see them all walk out with him before the fight. So he thinks in his head, this guy's delusional. That's why. This is all coming from delusion. He's out of his mind, this punk. He has no attachment to reality.
Can't say you're wrong.
No, this guy, I mean, you got to understand, he's going to get support from the black demographic no matter what he does. So there's really not much anyone can tell him, because he's just going to turn to his loyal fan base and they're going to kiss his ass. So honestly, if he wants to kick and scream and pretend like he's retiring, like, go ahead, bro. Nobody cares. And you'll find out soon enough.
Well, it was always going to be a problem with Shakur Stevenson when the way he fought against Nakatila, and then even during the pandemic, I think he was one of the first guys who fought in the summer of 2020, and he went after this guy, nobody really, and he tried to press the issue. He ended up injuring both his hands. So he has neither the physical disposition nor the mental disposition to fight in an entertaining fashion. I know people sort of changed their tune when he beat Yoshida, or Yoshi, I don't know what his name was, Mario Bros character, but this is what he is. That's why somebody brought that up to him, because he's doing Twitch videos now, Twitch streams, and somebody brought that up to him. They said, hey, if you fought if you fought Tank Davis the way you fought De Los Santos, they're giving the decision to Tank Davis. And his answer was, well, actually, let me play you, because we played this during one of the shows, but instead of me paraphrasing, let me play you what he said. I hope you guys can hear this video. Hold on a sec. It's loading up.
If you fight Tank Davis,
I'm dangerous.
how you fought Edwin De Los Santos, you're not getting them rounds, homeboy.
Hey, I don't care.
You're not getting it. If that same fight happened, you're not getting on the scorecards like that, homeboy. You're not, bro.
I don't know who, like, I don't know who made you, like, the god, or, like, to tell me what's gonna happen or what. Like, I'm gonna fight how I fight regardless. I'm gonna be me regardless. I'm not gonna switch up. Nothing ain't gonna change, and I'm gonna come out victorious against anybody. Why? I want to see every last one of them. You want?
All right, so you get the gist of it. So he's saying, I don't give a shit about you guys. I don't give a shit what you guys have to say. I'm gonna fight my way, and I'm gonna keep doing what I do. Comments on that? I mean,
but he was firstly he was after that fight, he went around bullshitting in interviews that he was injured. He's fucking lying about some fake injury. He's not even man enough to say, okay, I stuffed up, whatever. So he's lying. He's a liar. And a lot of people are buying that. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
what
where's the surgery after his hand broke?
Bullshit. No, he didn't have surgery,
exactly.
Man.
And if you were Bob Arum, right? Because trust me, Bob has people fucking cozying up, going through the online shit, like Kevin. Korn. Kid Korn from he used to be a regular caller on Steve's show, and then he went to work for Top Rank, and he does their media. I'm sure he checks on that. And Bob's the type of guy, he'll play that when he's in a meeting with them. When Shakur's saying, "Don't worry, no, I know now. I've learned my lesson." Again, this will be the second time he's having that conversation, mind you. Oh no, I know it's a sports entertainment. I got to entertain, and then Bob will play that fucking thing. Here you are though, when you're angry, drunk, angry, and getting laid is the 3 times you ever fucking talk the truth. You know what I mean? People rage, and you know what I mean. And you said right there, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna fight how I fight, because again, at the end of both apologies and excuses that he was sick, he finished with, "But I did what I had to do to win." This isn't the Olympics, bro. You know what I mean? Those days are done. It's not how you win. If you win, but it's also how you win that determines your pay scale. There's plenty of boring fighters, but you're going to go down into that scale. You'll go down to making fucking $800,000 champion because nobody's going to show up, dude. When you're the fucking headline and people start cutting for the exit.
And nobody's going to fight him. Why would Tank Davis want to fight that dude when he's going to be chasing him around the ring for 12 rounds? The guy won't even punch. Why would anybody top guy want to waste their time now?
Well, first of all, I think do most of you agree that he's not really retired?
Obviously
until
not.
he vacates that belt, he's not retired.
I think he's retired in the fact that right now he probably doesn't even have he probably hung up on Bob. I don't know if they had a fucking, over the phone talk or if it was in person, but I'm sure he stormed away from whatever that conversation. And right now he feels he's a free agent, like for real. Like he doesn't even have anybody behind him because he doesn't have Bob. I mean, really, where's he going to go? Matchroom? Matchroom's got one guy under contract at 135. Like he's got nobody there. He's going to go to the PBC. I mean, history has proven time and time again that just because you're on their side of the street doesn't guarantee you shit. I could, spend the next 30 minutes going through fights that should have happened that didn't. So where's he going to go? He doesn't have the financial backing or the connections to start putting on shows by himself. He's going to do higher and all that. But it still need a promoter. Black Prime's not a promoter as much as, they're just right now, they're just like they're a platform. They're not actually doing any action. They don't sign fighters to promotions.
I don't see any reason why any promoter would work with them, especially when he says things like, "If you don't like it, don't buy it."
Well, let me ask Irish Andrew Ward this. Irish Andrew Ward, are there a lot of things down the lines? Do they just have to go back to the drawing board? Are there a lot of big fights down the line? What do you think?
Yeah, look, you never know what the future holds, BDA. You got to talk to your team. You got to get all the people involved. You got to look at what makes sense, all right? Who knows what down the line, what opportunities can present. I think that's a great fight, whatever that fight is. And, but right now, I think I've been sitting here waiting a long time, been burning a lot of energy. I have to, first go back. I haven't seen my family for a while, so we discussed that later. Right now, that's not the time for that. But yeah, down the line, anything's possible.
It's been a hard camp, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a tough camp. A lot of wear and tear on the body. Gotta get a massage like Jared Anderson. On that interview, he was like, "Oh, I forgot about this. I have a massage plan," with his sunglasses on.
All right. As long as
some interview he did. Yeah. He wasn't doing the massage during the interview, unfortunately. But
listen.
Next time you say that, get off your boyfriend's lap.
Oh. No, he left.
Anyway, if Shakur wants the big fights, he has to redeem himself because he's box office poison. He's going to be pricing himself
out. Is your name Gooning to Princess? Is that?
Yeah, Gooning to Princess Caden.
Okay. All right.
But if he wants
are you in the Goon Cave right now? Are you in the Goon? Have you seen our Goon Cave?
I'm about 5 feet away from it.
Have you seen our Goon Cave?
Have I seen your Goon Cave?
Yeah. What's in your Goon Cave?
No, nothing. It's just my bathroom's my Goon Cave, so it's just pretty normal. Yeah,
that's unfortunate. I like to goon around the gym,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Go from machine to machine.
Cells in there.
All right, fellas, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, this is you don't know. Don't play around, man. Nobody gives a shit about your weird tranny fixations. Now let's get back to business here.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So anyway, Shakur has to prove himself against a guy like Murataya. Zepeda, when he fights Hughes. It's going to be for the WBA and IBF Eliminator. So hopefully the WBA does their job and they mandate that fight. Because the problem is if the IBF mandate Loma to fight him, it's going to cause a rift where Loma and Navarrete can't unify. But we know, like, by past history, Loma takes the big fights, Tank doesn't. So make Tank actually earn his spot and fight, a real killer that could take his spot, like Zepeda, right? And let those guys unify on the top rank banner. And Shakur, if he wants to start getting in that mix with those guys for the other title holders, he has to beat a guy like Murataya, who's undefeated, looking to take his spot and could beat him. He's a legit top 10 lightweight. But if he doesn't fight him, then no one else. Your box office poison. So no one's gonna take you seriously. No one's gonna fight you unless you take an actually risky fight and look good doing it.
Well, listen, I saw on Twitter, Steve Kim said the same thing. Some of us were saying, which is that if in theory, Shakur Stevenson, if he could just hold the line, he put him in there against two guys that he can look good against, because he can manage that. I mean, put him in there against guys that are slow, whatever, and he'll look like $1 million. And people will forget, or most people rather, will have forgotten what happened last October. But he doesn't want to do that. He's a product of the 21st century. He goes on Twitter a lot, social media, Instagram. He reads all the comments. He gets into it back and forth with people, and it gets to him. He doesn't have that leather skin that a lot of people have developed being 20 plus years on the internet. He's still relatively young, and again, like Mirage said, a lot of people, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Lomachenko. The reason why we dislike Lomachenko is because he was overhyped." Look, it's one thing to be overhyped by your promotional company. That's what they're supposed to do. But Shakur Stevenson was being overhyped by Top Rank, ESPN, the rest of the boxing media, and a lot of people. How many people? I saw a lot of people during the build-up to the De Los Santos fight saying, "Oh, Shakur Stevenson is going to dog walk the guy." He even said that, Shakur Stevenson, in the last press conference. He said, "I'm gonna show you. I'm a different level. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna." He's gonna.
BDA. Yeah. I mean, just
gotta say my name.
But hold on, just to consider it, like Lomachenko has an actual highlight reel, where you can point to that guy's special. Like his fights are entertaining from the beginning to the end, especially at the lower weight classes.
Well,
I can't say that about
Shakur. Has a documentary already.
Yeah, right, but I'm just saying that when you go through his highlights, right? Those are entertaining. Those are quality stuff. But you can't say about Shakur. Even in his best performance, it's still not like he is just blowing everyone away, taking risks. It's clear that he's just winning because of size and speed. And
those hits
it gets boring.
on Conceição were great.
I mean, that's the other thing. People forget that he fought Conceição. He blew the weight. Then he hit him 20 times in the balls. He hit him 20 times in the balls. Still couldn't stop him. I mean, this guy has been overhyped. He's very good defensively. But you know why he's good defensively too? Is because he jumps. He leaps into the air multiple times. So guys can't get to him. Now, it's easier said than done to leap and keep a guy away from you. But he still manages to do it. But you've seen what happened.
Because BDA, that'll get figured out. If there's a guy that can feint and peel that shit, they'll cause him to jump. Eventually, he's going to have nowhere to go, and he's going to get picked apart. Because if he tries doing that shit against a guy like Loma, he's just going to get him on the ropes and set off 5 or 6 punches, and some of them are going to land. You're not defensively responsible when you're off of your fucking feet, dude. Because you're not set to punch or counter punch or do anything.
Yeah, you can't count.
His defense is overrated too. He just fought slow, overmatched, flat-footed opposition, and that's it. That's his entire career. Oscar Valdez, his best win, or even Jamel Herring, slow feet. A lot like Jamel Herring was past it. He was shot, and look at Valdez, midget, slow feet. He has power, but he doesn't have the physical dimensions to compete with a weight bully like Shakur. So,
well, that's the other thing about the Valdez fight, because Valdez was undefeated, and they were trying to make this out to be as if it was 2 pound-for-pound guys. I kept trying to tell people Valdez already has had bad performances against good technicians like Marliaga. He also struggled.
Yeah.
Yep. He should have lost against Conceição. I thought he lost that fight. He struggled against Dionisio Cervania, even though Cervania wasn't the same style. But you get my point. Is he'd already shown that he was vulnerable. So when he fights Shakur Stevenson, all of a sudden people make it out to be, whoa, Shakur Stevenson beat an undefeated Mexican who could crack. I don't know what. Oh, and I forgot Adam Lopez too. Had him on Queer Street and dropped him before a BS stoppage there. So. Again, Shakur Stevenson, very good fighter. He knows how to control range. He's got a good jab, very quick hands. But he was being overrated. and maybe he'll come back and improve and be more aggressive. But that's a big maybe. I think at this point, he's already, 26? It's not like he's a 21-year-old baby anymore where you can go, oh, he can work on this, he can work on that. I mean, the mold it's starting to harden at this point.
I mean, the dude's only beat 2 world champions his entire fucking career, man. And people are acting like this dude's some Hall of Famer already, man. And he hasn't fought any elite fighter. He's not fought any legitimate elite fighter. So we'll see what happens. But I don't really care if he retires, but he knows if he has the right people around him, he knows what he has to do. He has to be a legit top 10 contender and look impressive doing it to actually get a fight with the big names in the division. Tank won't fight him because Tank's whatever, Abdul Wahid won't fight anybody. But if he wants to fight a potential winner, like I said, versus Benavidez and Lomachenko, which he could get, he has to look impressive because he's box office poison, man. That guy's garbage. And he has to beat the shit out of Muratai. And I don't even think he could do that. I think Muratai probably beats the fuck out of Shakur and lynches him. But,
oh, come on. Wait a minute.
I can, if I was honestly trading, if I was one of his managers, if I was Prince, you know what I would do? I'd set up some sparring session with a couple of welterweights, kids who aren't as, obviously as good as him, but can crack. And I'd say, I want some wars. I want some gym wars. I want to see if you got the fucking dog in you. That's for you, Mr. BDA. Just to see if you can actually fight. Because from what I see, you're afraid to get hit. Like, you're really afraid to get hit. And, where do you think you're going to go in this business?
But, Jimmy, you also made the point several episodes ago that it's not just taking punches. It's the aftermath of the punch. He's afraid of getting hurt. He's afraid of getting marked up. Like you said, he's looking up at the camera, looking a little dink that he got on his face. This guy doesn't seem to be up for it.
I think if you ask me personally, if you fight the way that Shakur fights, is usually one of 2 reasons. One, you lack the ability to fight on the inside, or 2, you're not durable enough to fight on the inside. So I have a feeling that Shakur is hiding glass.
Well, if he comes back,
I
I think
we could analyze Shakur every which way. I think the consensus, though, is that he's not interesting enough to merit this much attention.
Absolutely.
But I did have a question. Like, I don't know if anyone can answer, but you guys mentioned that before, in old HBO fights, a lot of these fighters would just lose their contracts. They would just be cut basically. But I'm kind of wondering, when I look at the history of the last 15 years, how Haymon had the pull he did to destroy HBO the way he did. It got to a point where I think Andre Berto fought some 10-rounder against some nobody as a main event, and all the commentators were talking about how they couldn't believe that this was happening. So I'm just wondering, because I don't think we've discussed how this guy is able to have the pull with all these entities. Is it just some kind of in-group bias, or because it's been going on for a long time? He's gone from place to place. You guys have mentioned, how does he end up in this situation? I just don't get it.
It was by controlling multiple fighters at HBO. But all right, go BDA.
Well, just real quick, you gotta also put things into perspective, because people do that. People say, "Oh, well, he's got a deal with Amazon. These guys refuse to go away." But like Bucho says, compared to his present situation, Al Haymon's present situation, where he was 8 years ago, look at it. I mean, really look at it. Right now, he's with Amazon. He's got 12 dates, which is not nearly enough for his stable of fighters. Number 2, he's not getting a budget, as far as we know. So you compare that to when he was at NBC and he had a coffer from Wallet and Reed, and he had NBC buy dates that he'd bought from NBC, CBS. Then he goes over to Fox Sports, Spike TV. But look at how progressively downward the quality of his fights and the number of dates available have gone. So that's one thing you got to put into perspective too. But go ahead, Jimmy. What were you going to say too about the fighters?
Yeah, when he was at HBO, he had signed so many fighters under contract. He kind of controlled the ebbs and flows at HBO. And he was also very good friends from the music industry with somebody high up at HBO. So that kind of got his foot in the door. And he basically took over. He determined what was happening. He's the one who pushed the tribalism of the networks. But regardless, he did. I'm just choking. Sorry. But he did so terrible and caused such angst over there with the bullshit he was pulling. the guys over there, they just said the sport isn't worth it anymore. This is what we have to deal with. So their decision to cut boxing was done 2 or 3 years before they finally got out of it. They were just letting their contracts run out with certain guys and whatnot. But yeah, he's got the guy everywhere he's gone. I mean, look at he's a shell of himself. 12, like you said, 12 fight dates. He still has 80 something active fighters under contract. It's just that's why he's stacking these pay-per-views, with fights again. He hasn't learned a goddamn thing. Keith Thurman, like, think about that. He thinks this kid's still a name, a big enough name, relevant in boxing, where he could just throw him in there against this Australian kid. Oh, it's going to do numbers. No, it won't. His last one sold 36,000 pay-per-views when he fought, or 36 or 39, under 40, still trash, like historically bad numbers. And it's only good because now nobody's going to buy this because they're angry about it. I think this is going to do terrible numbers. I really do.
Yeah. People are physically.
Yeah, I guess if you put. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, people are like Jimmy said. People are actually angry. They're furious at how bad this is.
Yeah, it's really bad. You think like any guy they have under contract, like Fundora, would be better, and they'd probably pay him less, right? Like than Thurman. I imagine Thurman will still just ask for an outrageous sum for what he's worth, but yeah, I guess
he'll get $1 million.
Yeah, I guess if you put into perspective, you're right. Like he just got his fighters from the Golden Boy collapse at HBO, and then he stole money from a bunch of old people to create this PBC fund, and that bounced around a bunch of networks, but it was the same like pot of gold basically that finally fizzled out, and now he's on really only his third venture that really no one is giving him any propping for, so he's kind of on his last legs, and hopefully that's the last.
Guys, can I chime in on the Shakur thing real quick?
Sure.
Well, this is the effect. I mean, I hate to take it back, and I hate to trigger the crazies out there, but I don't think they follow BDA. But this is these American fighters, man. This is the effect of the Mayweather era. Think about it. Like I grew up in the '90s, right? That's when I started watching boxing. It was young Mayweather. It was De La Hoya, Trinidad, Vargas, Winky Wright, young Shane Mosley. Everybody was hungry. Everybody fought. And now these guys that are fighting now, Shakur, Tio, all those other guys, they grew up watching Money Mayweather. So they all want to be like the flashy. I want to get paid. I want to fight on pay-per-view. And so this is the effect of that Mayweather era, man, where it's just like, yo, like they're delusional, man. They didn't grow up watching the boxing we watched. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's the true, and that's why I like. It's heartening to see a guy like Bam Rodriguez, who is not trying to fight with. Because after Mayweather, you saw a generation of fighters trying to do the Philly shell, trying to fight like him, one punch at a time, barking while they throw shots. Now you saw a guy like Bam Rodriguez actually fighting a little bit more like Lomachenko, and hopefully a lot of these guys start following that example.
And it's also the business, and the matchmaking, and just the not wanting to fight, and just. It's that whole effect. But yeah, I remember I tweeted that, and I even gave an honorable mention to two guys from my hometown, Barrios and Bam, because they'll fight anybody, And I wanted to mention what's his name, Benavidez, but he's one a hungry guy, but he wasn't hungry when Morrell was, he was talking about Morrell, but then once Canelo landed on PBC Island, he kind of quit that talk and pulled out of that whole conversation. So I wanted to mention him, but I couldn't, man. It's just these young fighters, man, these American fighters, they're horrible, terrible, all of them.
Yeah, a lot of them seem to think that they're
Mayweather wannabe with the Philly shell. Like I feel like Ryan Garcia should have been disqualified for like turning his back multiple times his last fight. I don't know what that was about.
Mayweather is like that fart that won't go away, guys. Like he's a cancer. He's getting in all these guys' ears, man. Bud Crawford just posted a picture with him and them two skating, so he's already getting his weaselly little hands on him. You saw what he did with Ryan Garcia, and he swindled him. Tank Davis was getting swindled by long by him. Tank Davis.
You said they were skating, ice skating or rollerblade.
No, they were roller skating. But if you see the guys, he gets in all these guys' ears, man. Devin, he got in Devin's ear. Now Devin don't like him. Tank really doesn't like him. You know what I mean? They had their thing. Ryan got played by Floyd. You know, I mean, Floyd can't have his own promotional company and have it up and running in the long run. So he's always trying to get in the way of all these other guys' careers and progress. And I think a lot of it is too or the other half of it is he doesn't want them to beat his records. He's such a narcissistic dude. Like, remember, this is the guy that kicked out Michael Jordan from the TMT gym because when he showed up, everybody was wanting to talk to him. Everybody's wanting to take pictures with him. Floyd didn't like it. Floyd had him leave.
Look. The Mayweather effect is certainly something that, like you said, still permeates and it has wafted into the boxing business and refused to go away. But that being said, a lot of these fighters, there's other guys that recognize Mayweather's greatness, but they're not following his business example. And that's the other thing is we're going to get into that too with Ryan Garcia, some of the comments he just made earlier this week. But I just wanted to also point out the fact that, some of these, like, for example, Jaron Ennis, he refused the Crawford fight. And some people could say, well, what about Virgil Ortiz? Right away, they got to mention Virgil Ortiz. Okay, Virgil Ortiz, apparently he refused it as well. But at least he's with a company that has fight dates. He already had a fight not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago in January. Where's Jaron Ennis at? This is a guy that's entertaining to watch, contrary to Shakur Stevenson, and yet he hasn't fought since July. So again, it's a lot of these guys got bamboozled by the PBC. And here's the other thing. Leonard Ellerby admitted during the Ryan Garcia Tank Davis festivities that he told De La Hoya, we stole your stable from under you. Now, he's admitting to something so perfidious because people say, oh, well, it's just business. Not in my book. I mean, just business doesn't happen in a vacuum. Business is real life. And these guys did something so nefarious to De La Hoya while he's in rehab, and they steal his fighters from him. And De La Hoya's to blame too for being a fucking out of control guy. But at the same time, what happened to sound business practices? So a lot of these guys now that are with the PBC should be unsurprised that they're being, what's the word I'm looking for here? Jerked off. Jerked around, rather. And they're not fighting. It's their own fault for having bought the PBC product.
And Mr. B-Day, speaking of Garcia, I was going to say real quick, he was on the Bet David Valuetainment podcast today. That's one of the bigger ones on YouTube. So the kid does carry weight. It's crazy.
And it's dog eat dog. It's dog eat dog, guys, because I do agree with what you just said. It's bad business practices. But in the end, when Oscar became a promoter, he tried to steal Pacquiao from Top Rank. He tried to steal Donaire from Top Rank. He actually did steal Canelo from 360 Promotions down in Mexico. Canelo wasn't made by Golden Boy. He was, he got a little bit bigger, but he was made by 360 down in Mexico. He was already a commodity in Mexico, 30-0. So, nobody's really innocent here. And man, nowadays, the way these American fighters are rolling, I'm blaming, it's funny because we used to blame the promoters and everybody for the wrongdoings. Now I'm blaming the fighters now, man. I think it's the fighters are to blame for because of the way they act, the way they talk, the way that their false perception of what they're worth.
Well, I mean, yeah, but De La Hoya, I mean, when you talk about single instances like that, as opposed to stealing an entire stable, and then on top of that, okay, it's one thing to be a hard go-getter business person who blurs the line between sound business practices and just, being a degenerate, but at least be a good businessman. The PBC has failed to, well, I mean, if anybody's enjoyed success from the PBC, it's Al Haymon, because every time these guys fight, he gets his percentage. But he's really screwed over a large majority of his stable. So at least if you're going to be a dirty businessman, at least be a good one. He's neither of those things.
And Mr. BDA, to put an exclamation point on that too, the rumor goes that when Schaefer was working with Golden Boy and became very close with Oscar, to the degree it was him who brought up, listen, bro, you're out of control. You need to check into, detox. Like he was the one who facilitated him going into rehab, and the minute dropped his ass off. And when you're in rehab, remember they take your phone the first week, depending on which one you go to. I'm sure they picked the one where he couldn't reach out to anybody for a few days. That's when they stabbed him in the back. So they knew his situation. They're the ones who talked him into going to rehab, and while he's in there, they poached all his fucking fighters. And the only reason why he was able to stay in business is because Canelo wouldn't leave. Canelo says, yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, so let's stick to this
just
theme.
Just to show how nefarious he is.
Let's stick to this theme then, because there's plenty of blame to go around for some of these bad choices being made. Ryan Garcia. So you guys, just to catch up everybody that might not be aware, Ryan Garcia, he has been quarreling with De La Hoya, and he was seen jogging with Mayweather. He seems to be chummy. Well, it turns out that they were sort of letting him believe that there might have been the possibility of an Isaac Cruz or Rolly Romero fight. And then, whoops, turns out those guys are fighting each other, and Ryan Garcia turned down a Haney fight for that, and he ended up with egg on his face. I'm going to play you guys a clip here because he recently came out on the... I love saying Ryan Garcia comes out, by the way. It's just a matter of time. But he came out to say that, to talk about the situation. So, first of all, he shows up with a roller. He's rolling something on his face. Check this out. But you guys can't see it, but you'll hear it.
People are going to be watching this video thinking, what the hell is he putting on his face? So explain to the people what you got going on there before we dive into it.
This is a face roller. People use it for many reasons, if you have tension in your face, kind of, massage it out. Also helps rejuvenate your skin, so it makes your skin better. A lot of benefits towards it. Right now, I just need it because I got a little bit of tension near my left eye. So I'm kind of just massaging it out. And that's why I'm doing this.
Cool.
All right, so he's turning into Patrick Bateman at this point. Well, what's up with that?
Well, I don't blame him too much on that because think about it. If you want to be the...
I have a little puffy PDA. I will use an eye mask to decompress.
Well, listen. If you want to be the face of boxing, you gotta have yeah, pretty much. So I guess it is what it is. There, I don't look too much.
What I heard is I cut the balls with my left hand.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Wait, no. BDA, you get the sense that if Ryan Garcia came out, it would be to like appease the public, the same way his mental health thing. If it was like a trending hashtag, he'd be like, "Oh, I feel like we're all a little gay inside,"
Guys, it's this new era. Have y'all seen the video of Tank when that there's like a YouTuber interviewing him, and he's sitting there in the locker room and he has his feet kind of crossed over and he's looking at him. He has like a really fruity look at him when he was talking to him. I mean, they painting their nails, they're carrying purses. Man, there's something wrong here. Did you see what's it, Devin Haney's latest outfit? He had like these big giant boots on with the shorts. I mean, I don't know, man. This whole generation is weird.
Anticipation trophy generation.
It's the global homo generation. They're blurring the lines between genders, but we're not gonna get into that because this is for. What's that?
Well, listen. It's I know you say you don't want to get into it, right?
All the pesticides and the birth control in the water supply.
That's right.
Yeah, true. That's right. And it's a certain community that's at the top that's socially engineering, and they use these athletes. I don't want to say too much, but if you know,
probably Ryan Garcia sounds like one of those guys that's no, I'm not gay. I'm just a guy that I like women, but I'm just a guy that likes cock or whatever. It's like what? It's like, the lack of logic. The mental aerobics they do nowadays. But let's get back to boxing. Here's what he had to say about the Mayweather situation. All right.
He voted for. Long story short, I'm in Vegas. I'm having a great time. I'm hanging out with Floyd. I'm not gonna lie, Floyd's pretty influential. He's like, why would he do that? Why don't you fight Rolly for the belt and then fight Devin Haney? Gave me advice. I said, that makes pretty much sense. I said, but I told the people already I'm going to fight Devin. He said, some things change. I said, okay, basically is what he said. I'm paraphrasing here. It's a lot deeper than that, and there was a lot more conversation, but I'm going to save that. And then I made a quick decision to be like, okay, all right, Floyd, that makes sense. I'll go get another belt. I'll go get the WBO belt, which I was down to do.
All right, so Ryan Garcia is now listening to Floyd Mayweather, which, by the way, this dude can't read. Talking about Mayweather, he stutters. He doesn't have any major endorsements and he's got a criminal record too, by the way. Why would you listen to this guy for business? Because not for nothing, but Floyd Mayweather tried for years to be a mainstream star, and it's only after the Haymon connection, and he was connected to another promotional firm or some sort of firm that actually helped him raise his profile. That's when he did it. But he didn't do it by himself. He didn't do it. Because that's the legend of Floyd Mayweather. Oh, he's so smart. He's such a great businessman. I think that's been overrated a little bit. So guys like Garcia seem to have fallen under the spell that what Mayweather says, it's got to be gold advice, and it's really not.
Well, let me tell you this, BDA. Like honestly, I disagree with you on this because like I know Floyd can't read, and that's not like a false like that's true. He can't read, right? However, he is somebody who had a lot of success when it comes to the boxing game. Let's not lie here. And on top of that, some way somehow this man managed to become a billionaire. So I don't know.
I don't think he's a billionaire, first of all. But second of all, the other thing is this. It's really the inconsistency with Ryan Garcia is sometimes frustrating because he's throwing De La Hoya under the bus, or he threw him. Now apparently they're starting to get back on good terms. But he said, De La Hoya and Hopkins are not looking out for me. But then at the same time, he forgets that those guys were the guys that were telling him, look, don't accept these weight clauses and stipulations for the Tank Davis thing, which, by the way, Ryan Garcia himself is now using as excuses for the loss. So why would you then castigate your promoters for not looking out for you when you're admitting that the reason you lost is the very thing that they were trying to prevent? And Don Chingasos just put something in the Discord where Ryan Garcia said that he doesn't like De La Hoya publicly badmouthing Floyd Mayweather. So this dude is getting bad advice. Don't you guys feel like maybe De La Hoya Hopkins should just cut him loose at this point? Because if he doesn't want to listen, he's not going to listen to what they got to say.
Well, they probably should. I'm not gonna lie, but I think that's what I don't think. Maybe he does learn a couple of things from Floyd, so I can't be super negative, And then if it doesn't work out with him, he could probably go to some other promoter or something. I don't know.
Well, he already screwed him. You heard what Ryan Garcia said. He said, Mayweather told me take a title beforehand. Get yourself a title and don't get rushed into the Haney fight. And now, and they made him believe that he might be getting a shot at Rolly Romero or Isaac Cruz, and then those guys end up fighting each other. And he looks like a jackass now. So why still listen to what Mayweather said when they just made you run into a wall?
Yep, that's true.
You know what it is? And Jimmy, I don't know what you think about this as well, but that Ryan Garcia did have a lot of success in social media. And so now he thinks that because he was successful in that endeavor, it's going to translate into boxing, that he is a sound boxing business person, but he seems to be unaware that it's two completely different things.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, he was played by Floyd. Floyd took him to Vegas. Everybody knows Floyd out there, and probably, went to his apartment or his house there and saw all the, he has a wall that's full of belts and stuff. So, yeah. From a young lad, I'm sure that looked impressive and stuff, but just he said all the things he wanted to hear. He was easily manipulated. You know what I mean? It doesn't surprise me. The kid's got me. Come on, you're in a fucking interview. You can't put your little fucking eye. Oh, I need to do my eye massager right now. Oh, I took a fucking monster load in the left eyeball last night, and it's got it all infected. Fucking flamer. Come on.
Man. Jimmy, you're going a little too far.
Can I say something about that? Is it all right?
Yes, please. Go ahead, man.
All right, man. It's inevitable. It's D-Block, D-Town, D-City, D-Ville.
What's up, man?
I know that we could just continue the Ryan Garcia saga that, at the end of the day, I'm frustrated as a Ryan Garcia fan. I'm a fan of boxing first. But I feel like if everything gets worked out, and let me ask you a question, guys. If everything gets worked out and a contract gets signed, there's no other fight that we want is Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Once that fight gets made, if it gets made, let's go, because it's a better percentage right now than anything else. Do you think that he, and everybody could say he could shut the doubters out, even you guys or whoever's doubting him? He fought Tank Davis. Now he's going to fight Devin Haney. Do you think that everybody could just not talk bad about him? What do y'all got to say with that?
Yeah, it's all dependent.
That's cool and all. I was gonna say that's good that he's willing to fight these guys, but I mean, who cares? He's gonna lose. You know,
No. Hold on. My bad. Wait. But we care as boxing fans. We want to see
Right, but
fights.
what I mean is it's a mismatch, right? And I don't want to see that Amaro bum Devin Haney get a career high payday because all the 15-year-old girls want to hope Ryan knocks that that big black nosed dude out. It's just not going to happen. Devin Haney's going to win a boring decision, maybe stop and wait, and that's it. And the Ryan career is over. So I mean, whatever.
See, there's the problem. But there's the problem. We think we know it all until we see it, and then when we see it, we're like, "Shit, I didn't know that was going to happen."
No,
and I'm not trying to pretend because I'm a Devin Haney fan. I'm a Shakur Stevenson fan. For me, those are my legitimates right there. Ryan Garcia has disappointed me too much. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's boxing. We don't know what's going to happen. We can say what's going to happen, but we don't know. That's why we want to see the fights, right? Like Usyk and Fury. We don't know what's going to happen.
I would rather Haney have to fight Sandor Martin because, the Black Lives Matter channels said when Haney was mandatory, for years they went up with a bullshit narrative. So I want to see him fight his number one mandatory, to be honest, and Sandor Martin. I want to see how he does against the ass style when it's put in his face. Because, everyone bashed when he looked like shit. So I want to see how Haney does.
My thing is, what has Garcia even done to fucking warrant these title shots? It's all popularity. I mean, be honest. I mean, he's barely out of prospect status.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like he goes out and he quits against Garcia. I mean against Tank. He took the body shot and even said, "Well, I could have got up," but So, man, go down and fucking earn your stripes like everybody else.
Can I reply to that guy that just talked? Not you, Jimmy.
D-Block.
How can you say you just want to see the fights, but you say Tank Davis is your guy? That guy ain't fighting the fights, man. He's damn near 30 years old, and he ain't fighting nobody.
Yeah, hold on. I never said I was.
That's a double standard. I mean,
no.
You're kind of shooting off two different ways.
No. I never said I was a Tank Davis fan.
I said Shakur and Haney.
Yeah. When did you ever hear me say I was a Tank Davis?
Okay. Oh, my bad. My bad.
That's okay.
My bad.
Well, can I say this?
At the end of the day,
I thought I'm at work, so I'm like.
At the end of the day, it's like this. We got Rolly Romero. He's a champion. Can you believe that? I can't believe that. It's crazy.
Sin.
So if we're willing
but the money moves. It's money moves because
But what does he bring?
He's going to help push this pay-per-view.
Yeah, but Rolly brings nothing to the table. That's what I'm saying. He's a
train wreck, bro. I understand. I agree with you, man. I can't stand the kid, but he's a train wreck. There's that new Kardashian type industry where people want to see just controversy and these idiots. He just draws people in because he's stupid, and that's the society we live in now. You know what I mean? And with Ryan, we don't know if he's gonna fight Devin. You remember before this isn't the first time he did all this, man. Remember he was gonna fight Pacquiao. He swore, Pacquiao, and all of a sudden that got pulled out from under him. It's like, is this guy really telling the truth, or is he using these names for the algorithm to get him more views and more clicks? Because that's really what it is.
But you know how I view boxing? Time always tells who's the real G and who's not the real G. And when I say that is, time always tells who are the real fighters in boxing and who aren't. For me, Tank Davis is the most hyped fighter to ever come out of Baltimore. Time has told him that, and I've said it 4 years ago, and I'll say it today. He's accomplished everything that I've wanted to see, which is nothing. Because he's nothing. He's nothing to boxing. He comes with no credibility. He comes with nothing at all. So for me, Ryan Garcia, time always tells. And guess what? Now we got a negotiations going on. 2 days ago, Eddie Hearn just said this negotiation with Oscar De La Hoya. So time will always tell who are the real fighters and who aren't. Ryan Garcia is about to fight Devin Haney if it happens. It's a better possibility than Tank Davis can fight Devin Haney. So he's taking a threat compared to Davis.
Well, let me say something about that, because that's a dynamic that these guys are all under 20, well, except Tank Davis, I think he's 27. Most of these guys are under 26 years of age. Ryan Garcia, 30. All right, there you go. Ryan Garcia, the last guy he fought was a career lightweight, and he brought him up to a catch with a 140-something. So if he's going to fight Haney, it makes more sense from a weight-wise to be Haney, because that would be 140. We know Tank Davis doesn't want to fight guys bigger guys unless he sticks them with a rehydration clause, and that's why and plus even without that, there's a lot of red tape to make Haney versus Tank Davis because of the PBC connection. So that's going to be difficult to make. It seems like it would be easier to make a Ryan Garcia Haney fight because both guys have fought on the zone. Haney's on that side of the street now, so that's probably what they would go with. But Ryan Garcia, let me tell you, Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney, it's an interesting stylistic difference between Haney and Davis because Ryan Garcia would try to walk down Devin Haney. And Devin Haney, he's fought a guy similar to Haney in Tagoe. Now, the difference, of course, being Haney has a jab, whereas Tagoe doesn't really have one. And that would be really the interesting question to see how Ryan Garcia deals with the jab. Do not count out Ryan Garcia out in a Haney fight. People are trying to make it out to be as if Haney is this master boxer, and he's a very good boxer, but he would be fighting a guy who's just longer than he is, who has power and has speed. Last time he fought somebody like that was, what was the guy's name? Dominican dude, I think. On the zone in 2019, and he didn't look all that great in that one. So it would be a close fight because at least against Tank Davis would be trying to run around the ring, and he's not a pressure fighter. So that would be a different stylistic matchup. But everything you guys are saying is true though. Like what D Block said, if Tank Davis or Haney or Shakur Stevenson, if these guys were ever to step up to the plate, that's all they really need to do. Actions speak louder than words. But that's the problem with the modern boxing, the modern boxer, which is what Southpaw Lefty and other we were all talking about, which is that these guys, they do too much talking on social media and they don't fight each other. Why hasn't Shakur Stevenson fought Tank Davis, or Tank Davis versus Haney, or Haney versus Shakur Stevenson? You know what I mean? It's there's just too much talking. That's what
BDA. Can I tell you something? I'm sorry, man. BDA, can I tell you something? Did you just hear what happened a couple of days ago with Millie Boxing? He was interviewing Devin Haney's father, and then Devin Haney was, he's his arch rival right there. So he asked him questions about, so why do you think it's taking so long for Tank Davis not to fight my son? And then he said, where he fucked up, because now the Rise podcast that I follow a lot, because I hate them motherfuckers, said, oh, now they took him off. They don't want nothing to do with him because he exposed Tank Davis by saying his career is being choreographed. That's what he said out of his own mouth, because he heard that from Calvin Ford in their conversations that they've been having. And I went to the Rise podcast a couple of months ago, and I asked Coach Kenny, remember when you flipped that coin? He said, yeah. And it went to Shakur Stevenson. Yeah. How come you didn't fight him then? Oh, they didn't want the fight. That's bullshit. Shakur Stevenson needs a mega fight to make him a superstar. So I don't want to hear about that bullshit. Tank Davis is the most choreographed fucking movie star that you can ever. He's like a Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? At least Tom Cruise takes risks and does his own stunts. Tank Davis ain't taking no risk.
I mean, there you go. That's the other thing, man. I mean, it's I mean, but it's true. I mean, they do a lot of talking, man. And then Calvin Ford saying, yeah, but why would we? Look, you got Calvin Ford saying, why would we fight a guy who's not going to let us fight our fight? Then you got Shakur Stevenson saying, I'm not going to change anything. And then the next day he retires. I mean, it's just, these guys do way too much talking. That's why, not for nothing, man. I don't have anything against, inherently, I don't have anything against the American fighter, but they just do too much talking. How come you don't see this from most Mexicans? How come you don't see this from most Asians, Japanese, from Eastern Europeans? You see this mainly from the modern American fighter.
The American fan is so delusional with their boxers that they think that they're untouchable. I'm going to tell you like this. Remember when Fulton went up there to fight Inouye? There was a lot of people that were putting it out there saying, oh, you know what? He's a slick black fighter. He's going to go on there and show him what it's all about. And guess what happened? Inouye showed him a different pedigree, because in the world of boxing, it's called the world of boxing, you got to know that there's more elite fighters out there, and they've caught up with America.
D-Block, D-Town, Baltimore, stand up.
I feel like these guys are in a category that are adjacent to real boxers, but they're right below the category of being celebrity boxers like Jake Paul. And when I hear Tank Davis or Ryan Garcia, that's what I think of now. I don't think of serious guys going for serious titles, taking any risks. They want to make the money. People want to fight them for the money. But that's it. And if they were more comfortable with that spot, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. But like BDA said, the spot that they're doing, they're just talking too much. They're calling people out, and they're not doing anything. I just wish they were more comfortable saying, "Yeah, we're kind of like adjacent to Jake Paul type fighting. We're not real fighters. We're never going to take a risk. We're never going to take a chance. One guy's going on 30, and I just don't take any of these guys' career seriously."
This is my last one. I promise. This is my last one. This is like a sitcom. Do any of y'all ever remember a sitcom that you like so much and the character never dies, or he does all this magical shit, and you're like, man, that guy was born to be like that.
No, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Characters in sitcoms don't usually die, but I get your point. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, do you remember the show Knight Rider?
Yeah,
I heard about it.
Okay. Do you remember Hasselhoff?
Of course,
David Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff is a character, right? And the whole theme of the show is that the car does all the good shit. He does all the best shit, right? So what they're doing at Tank Davis is they're writing his career. It's choreographed. We already know what's gonna happen. Ain't nothing ever gonna happen to him because he's never gonna take a challenge. And that's one.
Yeah, I think. I think they're gonna try to cash him out eventually, like we did with Spence, with Wilder. That's what's probably what's gonna happen. Now, I'll say this, man, just real quick, because they had the Zoo versus Thurman press conference, believe it or not, and Keith Thurman, bless his heart, is really trying to sell this. If you guys look at your screen on YouTube or whatever, you'll be able to see it. But I'm gonna play you the audio at least. You'll be able to hear that. Here's Keith Thurman trying to really sell this fight.
Get them, got them good. Let's go, baby. Be in the building, T-Mobile Arena, March 30th. Thurman versus Zoo is very simple. You're gonna hear.
So he just went on and on. That was just a part of it. He kept going. So at least, good for him. He's trying to sell it. But like Jimmy said, people are actually physically ill and repulsed by this card. And again, it just makes you wonder, how come they didn't make Tim Tszyu versus Erickson Lubin? Because at least Lubin technically is coming off a win. Or at least put him in there against the guy who got robbed in that Lubin fight, which was Ramos. But no, they're going back to their same old stuff. They're putting him in there against a welterweight who hasn't fought since February 2022. That's weird. That's really weird. But
I think, honestly,
yes.
Well, I was going to say, I think Haymon wants the belt. I think he thinks that Keith has what he has in his stable to take that belt. Because remember, Tszyu isn't a traditional PBC fighter. You know what I'm saying? His management company is in Australia. Haymon's just his U.S. representative. That's why he doesn't treat him with the same respect he treats his, so-called, quote, quote, fighters that's under the full Haymon law. So I think he wants to weasel that belt some way back from him. Because I guarantee he never thought he was going to beat PBC fighters. And that's my theory on why he picked Thurman.
It makes sense because he doesn't, like you said, and we've said it ad nauseum, Al Haymon, he's business savvy, but he's not boxing savvy. He's got horrible matchups. He's a horrible matchmaker, I should say.
Terrible.
Well, there's got to be a setup. I mean, there's got to be a reset.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
But I mean, this is their first card and it's pay-per-view. You're supposed to give us your best right at the gate to set a good impression. And then maybe you can start feeding us crap. But the fact that this is pay-per-view and this is the card there. Listen, Zerafa is fighting Lara on that card. Neither guy has fought since 2022. One of them, Lara, is a 40-something-year-old guy. And the other guy's a male stripper, for Pete's sakes.
BDA, I thought he was going to fight Danny Garcia.
That would have been bad as well, because Danny Garcia's... Was that Jimmy?
Garcia pulled out of it.
Well, there
Are you serious? So he wants to be a DJ the rest of his life?
Yeah.
He's done, man. He's done.
Why are people surprised, though, man? That's the only thing I can't really rationalize any questioning after this. We know the deal with Al Haymon. We know the deal with a lot of these fighters. They're gonna act like this. I don't think it's gonna, unless there's obviously gonna be a camel that what's a straw that breaks the camel's back. But until that point, people, this is what you're not gonna expect anything better. You think these motherfuckers are magically gonna say, actually, let me put on the show. Actually, let me make more money by being more entertaining. These guys don't want it, man. They're not fucking fighters. Like, they're as Jimmy's pointed out, there's a lot of these guys are just athletes. that picked up boxing, and that's what it is. You can't teach that in the ring. Either people want to fight or not. So
that's a good point.
I mean, to me, it's irrelevant to me. That's why, you know, I don't really get bothered by a lot of the talk. Like, I understand in the American scene, you know, it's part of the scene, but at the same time, as I mentioned before, if you're gonna talk shit, if you're gonna go on there and talk about people's moms, look, me personally, I don't care if they talk about the mom, the dad, the kid, the son, the fucking dog, but show up to fucking fight. Just show up to fucking fight, please. I don't
There you
care.
go.
Say what you want. Talk shit about my grandma, this and that, but show up and get your fucking ass whooped. Either fucking take the fight or not. Stop with the bullshit, man.
Yeah, entertain
That's just
us.
what it is.
Entertain us.
What happened to the kill? What happened to the kill or be killed mentality, man? What happened to the Mike Tyson? I'm gonna eat your fucking children. What the fuck happened to that?
No,
Shout out to
this is
Kill
what
Be
happened.
Killed.
PDA, this is what happened. I was on a podcast because, you know, I'm trying to open up my own show June 2024. It's going to be in that block. I'm going to tell you like this. I went to a podcast, or I went to a show, and then I said, I love Mickey Ward. And I love that fight. That brought me into boxing. I love Castillo versus what's his name? God damn it, Morales. I love it. I want that action. I need it. Barrera versus Morales. Pacquiao versus Barrera. Don't give a fuck. You know, those kind of fights. But I'm also, I know that Ali did his shuffle and did his IQ, did his speed, did his jab all day. I love it. I love everything about boxing. And he said, you know what he said? This is the new generation. I don't know how old you are, bro, but this is the new generation. Oh, you know.
Well, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my whole point of what you're saying, bro.
Look
Hold on, I want to hear what they said. What do they say? What do they say?
He said, seeing those fights is like that's traumatizing. I can't do that. I need to see like just to stick a jab and move around, hug, and you know, and let the ref get a little bit, and let it be that. But we don't need to see nobody dying in there. Of course, we don't want.
Wait. Okay, wait. What podcast was this? What podcast was this? I'm just curious.
What the fuck is the point then?
I'm just curious. What podcast was this?
Oh, it was an upcoming podcast, but BDA, I'll send you a message or whatever it is. I'll get back on my
I want to say
record
something about that before anyone else goes. I want to touch on that. Look, listen. Of course, this isn't just because people make it an either or type of situation. When you ask a guy to be entertaining, they always jump the gun and go, "Oh, you want him to fight like a slugger and get brain damage?" You can do both, man. You can be a smart boxer, but be entertaining. Eric Morales, he would fight smart, and then he would go psycho in the last round and start trading, trying to stop the other guy. You know, and you don't even have to go that far to be entertaining. But this whole thing of, and again, the new generation, the problem with them is that they think that fighting boring is fighting smart. Look at what O'Shaquie Foster happened to him. When he was fighting Rocky Hernandez, he was trying to back foot bitch it, one punch at a time clinching. Then the referee said, no clinching. He actually enforced the rules. Then he had to fight, and he actually ended up stopping the dude. He wouldn't have, if this fight would have taken place in the US or would have had a different referee, they would have allowed him to fight in the ass style, the American slick style, which is one punch at a time clinch, and people would have called it a master class. It's not a master class if you have to bend or break the rules.
Yeah, well, Mr. BDA, there is fighters today who are like smart defensively, and they can dish it out, like Terrence Crawford, like Jaron Ennis, like these guys. I mean, of course they've had fights here and there that are like really, but for the most part, like they fight in a Eric Morales type of style, what you just described. I don't like. It's not.
Yeah. Cool. Bro, you guys, let's talk about a potential fight of the year where it's a guaranteed knockout, and it's gonna be Fundora versus Serhai. What's his last name? Bohachuk. I think he trains under Abel Sanchez. I think he's been that way for like 6 or 7 years now, like ever since Golovkin left him. That dude's 23-1. He's been knocked out. He has 23 knockouts, and it's going to be for the full WBC title. And the winner of Thurman and Zoo might end up unifying with those guys because, like, the problem is Jermell Charlo. He's having trouble because he keeps punching ladies in their eyeball, and it's like exploding and shit. So he's got a lot of legal issues. So let's talk about a gangster fight. I don't know if you guys know about this, but it's going to be fireworks. I mean, these guys are going to get one of these guys going to get knocked the fuck out, and it's going to be brutal.
I mean, I might take your word, but I don't know, man. Fundora versus this UK guy that you're talking about.
No, he's from Ukraine. Serhai Bohachuk, dude. I'm telling you, it's one of the best fights to be made, I think, so far this year.
Well, hold on, because that's what. Listen, we want to see. Look, okay, yeah, we want to see big, good fights where people are gonna actually try to do some damage. But I want to stick to that issue of this new generation of guys that they think that tapping, running around, landing a couple of taps and clinching is actually smart boxing.
Yeah, but
Look,
we've talked about this before. They don't know.
no, but hold on,
They're
because
just ill.
it's germane. Excuse me, it's germane to the situation. The next subject, which is because we're sticking to the subject of fighters who love to talk. Jimmy, you want to talk about Jared Anderson? I don't have the tweets with me here now, so if you can remember some of what he said or how this whole thing started, hopefully you can provide us with it. But can you just give us the rundown, the dossier on what happened with Jared Anderson getting into it with people on Twitter?
Well, yeah, the guy Only Sanch, I think it goes by Drew, Yo Mama Sancho, the Only Sanch on Twitter or X, but he's also a regular on the Ring IQ podcast. So basically, he started getting into it. I don't know what exactly kicked it off, but then it went like real ugly, real fast. Basically, he was. This was some of the stuff that our supposedly future heavyweight champion was coming from his Twitter account. I had more stamps in my passport before I hit puberty on here. Me take my mom to Russia. Again, my English. I'm just repeating him because I did something with my life. And then he got Only Sanchez's Twitter name with some laughing emojis. Come on, man. You can't compete where you can't compare. And then that's the mild one. Then he starts going into Sanchez's Twitter account to pull up old pictures of him and just went berserk, just tweeting out the stupidest shit about him. First time I flew Fort Classic because Sanchez, actually that kid Sanchez went over to Japan to see the Inoue fight. So you're talking about a kid who's actually supports the sport that much. He flew to Japan to watch the Inoue fight. Pretty hardcore. But anyways, he tweeted that out.
Jimmy. What? I think you're skipping. Maybe I misheard you. But I think this all started because Jared Anderson said something along the lines of, "It's time to start."
His brother.
It's time to start punching people in the face when they disrespect you, or something along those lines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to get to that because that was one of the ones that. Yeah. No. He go. This is. Oh, yeah. No. It gets really bad.
So, but hold on. But I'm curious. So then, how did it start? Because I missed it. Who started it?
Okay, I'm going to go right to Yeah, no, all right. So, if you want to talk about that, let me go to the Sanchez then, because what I did is I took snapshots of all the shit that Anderson said. I did. I snapped them all because I was shocked, literally shocked, the shit that was coming out of that fucking dude's mouth, to be totally honest with you. What's that? Yeah, for someone who's going to be supposedly the number one kind of considered American young heavyweight right now, although how he looked against Prince Charles, I get to question some things. But yeah, no, right.
Your life against Charles Martin, round 10.
Yeah, what kicked this off with Sanch was Sanch said something about his brother. See, that's what got him like really pissed off.
Well,
and I don't blame him because Sanch said. Because the kid ended up saying something, my brother lives better than you. His brother was in prison. Like, all right, for instance, remember when Jared came out in that prison outfit, the blue fucking overalls, handcuffed, and it was in dedication, even kind of strange though. Top Rank took that video down, but he came out as dedicated to my brother. Okay, so you see this guy come out wearing in change in solidarity with his brother who's down. Okay, so you just think, wow, would he get got caught with some couple of bags of weed and he got some like crazy sentence? No, what his brother did do though was break into a man's home to steal his shit and murder him. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of fucking scumbag his brother is. So like instead of disowning that parasite, or at least say he's my brother, but I'm never going to fucking talk about him. That's an embarrassment to the family. You're wearing what about, so that was what Sanch said to him. That's what set him off. By the way, I'm seeing here. How about throwing some fucking, instead of like, this is for my brother, how about bringing a little empathy for the fucking innocent man your brother murdered? And that's what set him off. When he said that's when all the tweets started coming.
Just for the record, I think Rayfield Shapiro is fucking tweeting me here. He's texting me nonstop. He's saying, from what I understand, Jared Anderson's brother was involved in the robbery. I don't think he actually pulled a trigger or anything like that, but because of the fact that he was involved in the robbery that involved a dead person, I think that's what really got him in big, super big trouble. But be that as it may, the point is this.
Well, you're all charged. If three is going, one pulls the trigger, you're all charged equally.
That's what I said. So the point is, I mean, that's what I meant. But thank you for clarifying. But Jimmy, would you agree that, look, whether somebody attacks your brother online or whatever, you're a public figure, you're a professional fighter. That's the subject of today's episode. It seems like these guys, these young fighters, I think they should get off Twitter and social media, shouldn't they? Because if they can handle it, they look bad, and it might even affect them. You never know, because they can't seem to handle it. It might even affect their performances. Well, what do you think?
Absolutely. It showed how mentally fucking weak this dude is. Clearly, if you're letting somebody get into you like that, you know what I mean? And I can understand, he has feelings for his brother, but what the fuck you saying, saying some of the shit you're saying. Just, yeah, dude, bad look all around, man. And he calls his piss poor, this tweet, let me say what he calls fans. Let's normalize trolling our big, fat, sloppy, broke, peon fans just as much as they troll us. So fans to him are sloppy, broke, fat, peon fans. So Teletubbies. This is a fucking dude calling, like Sanchez, because that kid Sanchez too, to his credit, dude lost like 150 pounds. I mean, he's 40 years old now, but I'm seeing now that, wow, that was him there. So good on him, but no Teletubby, troll ass broke. And then when he ever said, my brother's living better than you. And so that's when Sanchez, oh really? So is somebody being told when the shit, piss, sleep, you know what I mean? Living in a cage is doing better than me. How do you figure? So again, that's freaked him out. Yeah, go.
Jimmy, why is he describing? Why is he describing the Canelitas, Jimmy?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Hello? Oh, my bad.
No, I said, why is he describing the Canelitas? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that joke bumped twice. But go ahead, D-Block.
Oh, I thought you didn't hear me the first time.
my bad, guys. That's why I saw this week. I was like, what the fuck is Jared Anderson going in here, going on a title? You're supposed to be the next upcoming champion of the world. Not even Deontay Wilder did stupid shit like that, man. And you supporting that person, whoever it is involved in that shit. I'm from the hood. But at the end of the day, if you going in somebody else's house in the own block or whatever the fuck you doing, my nigga, you don't go in there and try to kill people, man. Do your thing and get the fuck out. I'm from the hood. That's the theology. You know what I mean? I'm being real. Go in there, break in there, get the shit.
At least,
a famous ass dog, get that motherfucker.
Yeah, D-Block is saying if you're gonna break into somebody's house and rob them, don't murder them. But listen, the fact that that Jared Anderson referred to fans as peons in out of shape, it's the same thing Caleb Plant was doing every time he gets into it with somebody on Twitter, because he's another dude that gets into it with regular people. He goes, well, you're mad at me because you ain't never done anything with your life. Okay, so because we're not professional boxers, that's the be all end all in life. If you're not a professional boxer, then you're not a success in life. It makes no sense. There's people that are way more successful than professional boxers. So I don't understand where these people come. Yeah. So
that's what I'm trying to end it up with this. I'm gonna end it like this. If you're telling me that we, the people that buy the fights, we, the people that view the fights, because we love boxing, guess what? You lost everybody, no matter what they say. You're not going to be our American champion because at the end of the day, you weak in the head. You crying in front of Roy Jones
in like 2 years. He's retiring in like 2 years, so it don't really matter.
You crying in Roy Jones Jr.'s face, telling him that you sad and all this shit, that it's hard, that it's stressful. That already tells me right there you got mental issues, my brother. I got mental issues too. But guess what? I take medicine. You don't. I could see another motherfucker coming like that field. Because I know them niggas. You know what I mean? I'm coming with that shit. Because when I come with my shit, I know what I'm talking about. D-Block.
All right. Well, listen. I mean, the thing is this. Jared Anderson too. He was the guy that was crying, saying he's not built for this. He's another one of those dudes that's already set at retirement date, which is 30. I think 30. He said or something like that. Which of course is not going to happen. He's probably going to get retired before he actually decides to retire on his own. But here's the thing, man. A guy like Jared Anderson, the fact that he can't handle what people are saying on Twitter, the fact that he's crying on TV, I don't think he's made for this boxing lifestyle. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I don't hold anything against him and I don't want to see him fail. But it is interesting that, again, that the whole discussion we've been having for the most part here on this show is some of these guys should stay off social media, because it's driving them nuts and it's making them look like jackasses. And another reason why it makes them look like jackasses is what I said earlier. They talk, but they don't fight each other. And that makes them look even worse. So, yeah, man, these guys should really pack it in on the social media.
Yeah, the talking
They
should
signed
complement the
Jalalov,
boxing.
So, I mean, Jalalov would beat the shit out of him. He might as well quit Top Rank.
The talking should only complement the boxing, in my opinion, essentially.
Right. And also that the thing that Jared Anderson said was that that there should be a law or something like that where you should be, if somebody talks shit on you online, you can punch him in the face, which is, just indicative of maybe that's why his brother's in jail, because they justify their behavior. It's like, well, I had to rob this guy's house because I got to feed my family or whatever. It's like, come on, you're living in the United States. You're not living in fucking Brazil in the favelas where if there's no welfare there. If you got no food, no job, you're starving to death. The United States, you got plenty of social services that can help you out. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is this, fellas. One thing that is going correct with boxing is Saudi Arabia. Again, it hasn't been on for a long time, but so far it's looking good. They're subsidizing these fights. I don't know if you guys saw the promo for Fury versus Usyk. 2-minute promo. You could tell they put some money into it.
Legit. That was very good.
Badass.
I need to watch it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but it's a very well done promo, high budget, and it seems like they put more money into it than most promotional entities put in their own little promos, because what most people do, and this Top Rank does the same thing, or used to, here's what they'll do. They'll do a press conference where they bring everybody from the guy who works at a concession stand to the guy who owns a venue to fucking Steven Espinoza, who can't wait to tell you he went to a Drake concert and he just so he can fist bump an Afro Anglo after the fucking press conference. Like, hey, we cool, right? We cool. They're boring performances, press conferences. This is going to be a great fight. This is the fight boxing fans have been looking for decades. Like, shut up. They need to spice it up. Top Rank, PBC, PBC, Matchroom, they do it cookie cutter style. They give you the press conference, then they give you some cheap behind the scenes thing. At least the PBC would do it cinematic. I do give them credit for that. Showtime would do it cinematic style. But Top Rank and Matchroom, they do these little vignettes where they show you the guy going to get his dinner, and it's fucking boring. Spice it up. What do you guys think? Can we spice it up, and how?
Yeah, you can always spice it up.
But how?
They're the only people that have the budget for that, BDA. So respect that only from Saudi.
Yeah,
that's
well,
true.
one thing I like about their events is that they actually, like, whenever there's an event there, like, they bring in a bunch of like singers and rappers and famous people, and it's almost like they have a Super Bowl halftime show. I like that shit. Yeah.
Well, I
it's
figured
because
you
they
would.
just have a shit ton of money to throw around. That's why. I mean, most companies, I think if they're doing just to hype up the fight, they can do something, but they just have to be relatively creative about it. Pick up, actually have a particular narrative that's like exciting on both sides. I don't know. You can skin that buck many sort of ways, but the only reason I don't like the Saudi Arabia shit mainly because it's a large influx of money. There's no real accountability with it other than directly to that fucking dude, King Shalabab, whatever the fuck his name is.
MBS, Mohammed bin Salman.
Yeah, Mohammed, whatever the fuck his name is. But to me, it's just like, they have the money to throw it around, so it's not, they're not necessarily, anything's better than what we have now. So I would also urge people to keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
This is rock bottom. This is essentially rock bottom. Any other place is gonna look good. If you're in the desert, you just get that little bit of water, then you're fine. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, listen, what you're currently seeing in Saudi Arabia, what that is, all that is a company in boxing that got into boxing not to make money, because that, like, all PBC, Top Rank, they're all in it to make money. But these Saudi Arabians, they don't give a fuck. Like, they could lose $100 million and they don't give a fuck. That's chump money for them. They just do it because they love boxing. That's the difference.
Well, here's the other thing, though. I haven't finished listening to all of it, but in the 3 knockdown rule with Mario Lopez and Steve Kim, they had Bob Arum on there, and they asked him, "Hey, so what's going to happen long term with the Saudis?" And Bob Arum said that they have about 6 dates with the Saudis. 6 dates. We can assume one. Well, we already know one of those is Usyk Fury. The other one they're working on is Beterbiev versus Bivol for June, I believe. Guys, if we had to speculate, what would be the next logical fights that the Saudis could make? And if you want to take it a step further, what's the dream fights that you'd like to see the Saudis make?
Somebody cleaning out the garage. Mute your shit.
Yeah.
Let's do a
Oh,
Haney
one fight
Tank
that I would.
Mecca 2024. Haney Tank Mecca 2024.
What?
Yeah,
Which
that's
out of
one.
this?
But yeah, I would like to see
He would never go to
see
Saudi
Ramirez
Arabia.
versus
Haney would never go to Saudi Arabia, especially not during Ramadan, because he wouldn't be able to have
Have it
his
in
ham
like
sandwiches
Mecca
for
or
breakfast.
Medina.
Can I say something whenever you guys are done?
Or Medina.
Well, first of all, I mean, hey, how about Haney versus Tank Davis? The loser has to leave the religion.
Can I say something on that?
Yes, or they get beheaded in like in a fucking park.
They get lapidated. Yeah, they get stoned to death. Yeah. let's make that happen.
Can I
Why
say
not?
something, guys? If it's all right.
Go ahead, Deep Look.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. You know, the Saudis came, they saw, and they're conquering. Right now, we can say that Saudis. We can say that with Top Rank. What you told me right now, the information coming in right now, breaking news. Top Rank just said they got 6 more events. So that just tells me that the Saudis are real. What tells me that's not real is PBC. What tells me that's not real is Al Haymon. What tells me that's not real is that there's no real promotional company there. It's a mixture of buffoons. Like we got LB promoting what? One fighter? That's all you got? We talking about LG. What's the other promotional company there with Al Haymon all the time? The fake ass is never really there. It's a LG, some bullshit. So Prime is taking a risk, which is okay. Hey, it's like a toy for them. It's like, okay, let's give an event out here. Did you see there anybody even on the live podcast with Premium Boxing? Nobody gave a fuck. So that's telling you. I went to a podcast. His name is Knockout Boxing. And he was disagreeing why Tank Davis should go fight Devin Haney in Saudi Arabia. It belongs in America. We, the American fans, need to see it here. Guess what's wrong with that theology of what they're trying to think and trying to put out there? They don't want to fight. They don't want PBC. Even Ellerby said it today in the press conference. We don't want to just send anybody out there to DAZN or to all these other companies. We want to keep everything in house. That's telling you right there that PBC knows that every fighter. Look at their record. Every fighter they've sent gets their ass whooped. Facts.
Well, here's the other thing about that is, again, what's this obsession with seeing fights in the U.S.? Because long gone are the days where they would have big fights in the Mecca of boxing, which used to be Madison Square Garden. Everything now goes to Vegas because they're the ones that win the bids with their high purse bids. I mean, their purse bids, their site fees. That's what, look, if they ever did Tank Davis versus Haney, which won't, I really doubt that fight happens. But anyway, if it were to happen, Vegas is going to outbid everybody. They're going to hold it in Vegas. You think the people from Baltimore, how many people from Baltimore are going to drive or travel to Vegas? And even if they do, how many tickets are going to be available if it sells out? So, nah, man, listen, if it's going to be in Saudi, if it's going to be miles away where nobody can get to it, but at least it would happen, make it in fucking Saudi Arabia then. Because
the real question, BDA.
Yes.
The real question is how many people in Baltimore are allowed to leave the state?
Ah, come on. No, wait a minute. See that?
Oh,
I don't
you
know.
got it too.
Yeah, man, listen.
And I got to say, too, a lot of people, too, Mr. BDA, a lot of people are saying the Arabs, like it's something the country voted on. Remember, this is the one sheik. Like, that's his thing. It's the Turkey ala sheik. He's in charge of entertainment recreation. He's the charge who's been put in charge for the country.
Mm-hmm.
They put somebody else in it, but could go to cricket. So this isn't like, they're making a long-term investment. So my thing is, if the money's real, which clearly it is, they got that oil money, and there's only so many fucking hawks and thoroughbreds they can buy. So they're just doing this. My thing is, take the money while it's there, because it's having a big, you know what I'm saying? Because people just don't realize that there's a big change going on right now. We're going into the first Olympics without American boxing having an Olympic team. The sport is collapsing here in the States. People need to come to fucking realization with that compared to around the world. The best champions aren't Americans. The best champions are Europeans, it's now global more than it ever has been. And at the same time, simultaneously, it's collapsing here in the States because you got to look at where everything begins. It's the beginning, and that's the amateur circuit. And if the amateur circuit is literally dying as we speak, what's going to be the feeder? I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, can I also
No, I
say
don't know
that?
if I believe that.
Well, that's a contentious subject.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
still
that's a
believe.
It's already happening. It's already happening. We have European champions. We have what do we got? We got different cultures coming into the boxing ring and bringing in their own enthusiasm with different countries. The USA is not number one anymore. As much as hard as it is that I can say that I'm American made, I'm bred here, and I'm an American stud. But at the end of the day, we know that the international and the world has caught up with us. Inui is a champion. We know that.
I'm not
Canelo
gonna
Alvarez
lie.
is second. He's a
Mhm.
champion. We got all the champions for Europe and England and Ukraine champions. And we talking about the bottom half also. You could say Mexican Americans, whatever it is. At the end of the day, America has lost their viewpoint of saying we are greater than everybody else. We compete. They stopped competing.
You mentioned
Well, I don't know.
enthusiasms.
On average, yeah, but on average, Americans usually beat all these UK guys. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you mentioned
I mean,
enthusiasms.
in my opinion, every
statement.
time I see like
my
fights outside the country, like when I seen the George Kambosos, Devin Haney fight, I was just like, that shit look like it hit different. Like the way they treat boxing is like it's just different.
You know why? Because again, in the United States, and this goes across the board, they've been doing it by the numbers. Oh, okay, we can put this amount of money for a press conference, for a little preview show, and that's it? Okay, that's what we'll go with. They don't go the extra mile. Now, like you guys have been mentioning, that's because the fucking Saudis have money to burn. They don't give a shit if they're losing money. They're going all out. But that's in theory, that's the way they should be doing it across the board, because not for nothing, competition is good. And right now, the competition for boxing, for a lot of people, is MMA, particularly the UFC. So if you wanna go head to head with the UFC, you gotta start fucking switching it up. Now, one thing is making the big fights happen, which because of the Saudis and their war chest, we're probably gonna get. But here's an extra step that they should take that very few people are talking about: enforce the rules, prevent people from clinching. Prevent people from having extra advantages.
No. Hold on. If you want to talk about enforce the rules, there need to be some type of like somebody needs to create something for these sanctioning bodies because they out of hand. How the fuck do we let people? We say, oh yeah, you could keep your belt, but you can fight in basically in the same division, maybe a pound up, but keep your belt.
Well, that's part of enforcing the rules. Yeah, that's part.
You're gonna lose your belt. But it ain't gonna go to the other fighter. Like,
that's part of enforcing the rules, and that's the other thing. Is look, some fighters like Teofimo Lopez, even though he did admit that having a belt matters, but for the most part, like a guy like Canelo and Anthony Joshua, they don't really need belts. Whether they put that on the championship fight on the marquee or not.
Yes, they do.
Like, for example, well, I mean, obviously, some fighter. You're saying Joshua and Canelo, they need a belt
Joshua
to
don't
sell.
have no belt right now. He don't need them.
They don't need belts. But think about Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, he used to be more like everyone regarded him as the shit, like the face of boxing when he was undisputed or when he had all the belts. Ever since he lost to Usyk, like you don't really hear the same buzz for him anymore.
Okay, but that's regardless of the belt. You know, now you're talking about him being the best.
Boycott the.
Yeah, but Sri G, now you're talking about two different things.
Good to see them just boycott the sanctioning body so they could quit paying these guys and they could quit getting all their money and they could just go for the ring belt.
But you know why they won't boycott? Because once you get to the highest level, the sanctioning bodies is the one who protect you.
Yeah, that's
they
the
let
thing,
you.
though.
They're the ones who really let you do either what you want or they the ones who let you do what you want for real.
That's true. That's true. That's another
problem.
problem.
Problems, but globally,
I can counter that.
And how much money you're bringing in for that per se sanctioning body? Because if you only making maybe like a couple million, like if you're Oshaki Foster, I don't know, I forgot what belt he got. You know, he's a champion, but we don't know how much money he's bringing them. So they probably gonna still want him to fight. They still gonna want him to fight the tougher fights.
I think I can counter that to a certain degree. I think the IBF has the most stiffest rules out of all the sanctioning bodies. And I remember that they had stripped Canelo Alvarez. What was it 4 years ago with that? I think he was supposed to fight. I think it was mandatory, and he didn't. There was a disagreement there, and they stripped him. Do you remember that? Because he was trying to get undisputed.
That's the thing, though. That's a good point because some of these, look, the IBF, they are stiff in certain regards. The other ones are flaccid, and you can't do that. You got to go in hard or you don't go in at all. But the other problem with the strengthening organizations is, first of all, they're corrupt. That's number one. So that's why I don't put too much stock in the belts because Rolly Romero has a belt. You really telling me Teofimo Lopez has to beat that guy to be undisputed? He doesn't. To me, undisputed means there's no dispute. Right now, 140, there's no dispute that he is the man. Now, whether you want to argue about whether he's the best 140-pounder, because maybe some people would favor Matias over him or Devin Haney, that's fine. But on paper, he beat the man who beat the man who beat the man. He doesn't need to collect all these paper belts who will give it to Romero one day, and if he doesn't play ball, they give it to another guy. That's partially
That's the thing
one
about
of the
it.
big
I don't
reasons.
even think Romero is even a top 10 140-pounder. They just put him in position.
Exactly. So that's a good point too about if you
Like,
want to
how the
save
fuck-
boxing.
How the fuck he get that? How the fuck did he really get in that position for that Barroso belt? Because they had to be people in line before him and Barroso fought for that belt.
Well, it was if you recall, Puello was. If you recall, Puello was if you recall,
that's Al Heyman working. That's Al Heyman and LB working a magic for real.
If you recall, Puello was the titleist. Then he tested hot, and then they stripped him.
Yeah,
and then they made,
he failed the drug test. That's right. So he got stripped.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my bad. I gotta go, but thank you so much, BDA. Everybody here, even the everybody hearing this out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the likes. Remember, D
Hey, I'm
coming
supposed
out
to say that.
2024. D Block, City, D-Ville, Baltimore.
All right, there you go. That's
You're
D Block for the
Oh, BDA, I have a question. I just joined. This is our DP. I just I made my Discord.
Shout out to you, DP David. Hey, hold on. Shout out to you, dude. I never spoke to you formally. Appreciate you being on here.
No problem,
Shout out
man.
to
You know, I love this channel. I love boxing. I love this channel. You guys call it out how it is. Yes, there is some things that I feel like on here you guys don't really like the PBC and stuff. But I don't. Some of the things I don't like either. So I agree with you guys. I just want to see these fights. But my question is this: is that what it is involving the belts? What's going on with Shakur? What is he mad at? Is he mad because Navarrete is going to fight for the vacant WBO versus the Ukrainian? What's the issue? I don't understand what he's
I
so
find
upset
that
about.
also I kind of find it dumb. I find that kind of dumb because you can't blame ESPN for what Navarrete wants to do.
Right.
I think that's what Navarrete wants to do, and then you could still probably get your unification, but retiring and all that's just throwing a hissy fit.
I think it's because he doesn't have anybody who's willing to give him the money. Top Rank isn't even going to give him the $3 million. He was getting paid handsomely.
Nah,
and
for real, after that, they probably were like, all right, 2.5.
Well, I would venture to say half of what he got last time out. And Bob told him, go ahead. Because remember, as like any age, like the ideally, whether sport it is, hockey, baseball, you don't want your guy to reach the end of his contract. Every athlete wants to be taken care of. It shows whether it's the organization or a promotion. If they sign you before your contract ends, and my contract ends this year, so they reach out to you 6 months early. Hey, let's get you back under contract. You don't have to worry about that going in. Less stress in your life. Bob let him ride that out. Okay, you want to go test free agency? Go and test it. He tweeted out free agent season. That was 9 days before he tweeted out, I'm retiring. So what I think happened, his people, James Prince reached out to people, and he got the old nobody offered him shit. And then when he went back to Bob probably offered him half of what he made. So that's like, fuck you, man. I don't need this bullshit. I want my $3 million. No, dude, you can't go out there and fucking fight like a scared motherfucker and then expect to be getting paid that money.
Nah, I mean, the thing about it is, I feel like he probably, even if he's getting the same money, it's like he ain't going with Bud. We already seen Bob ain't gonna give you his old boy. He ain't gonna give you Lomachenko.
Right.
And
he ain't giving you that.
Like, you ain't getting that. Like, it's sad to say, but Bob is gonna protect who he like.
Yes.
I mean,
wait.
No, not even Bob. They all protect the top fighters they like, just like Eddie Hearn protected AJ.
But look at the people Lomachenko fought since he came into the thing, man. Champion after champion. Who did he ever get protected against?
No, Loma don't.
He fought guys he should. Yeah, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. I mean, he shouldn't have been fighting at 135, but he had to because nobody fight at 130. Bob will fight. That's the opposite, actually, kind of with Bob. Bob throws guys out, like what happened with the lightweight Mexican there, who fought Bivol. He turned down. He turned down 3 fights or 2 fights. He was offered 2 fights. He turned them down. Bob said, "Get out." He matches guys tough because he wants to see if you're fucking full of shit or not.
Exactly.
So
I'll
tell you, you know who they're all going to be. You know who they're all going to be avoiding.
Devil advocate when it comes to that, though, because at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes to Lomachenko and certain people, I feel like Bob's going to throw you in there if he knows he can get somebody who's going to continuously stay on his network with that belt.
Yeah.
Lomachenko does. Lomachenko did sign a lifetime contract. That's how Lomachenko was. He's like, I don't want to dick around trying to go anywhere else. But he fought Haney. Haney was the favorite going in, the Vegas favorite before the fight was even announced. When they talked about it, and the day it was announced, Lomachenko was the odds-on not favorite to win. Vegas said Haney is. So he's and Lopez. All he's done is take this little fucking dude who's now in his mid-30s and match him as tougher than anybody else, because that's who Loma will do. Loma's not ducking anybody. Loma wasn't going to take that Haney fight. Of course he wasn't going to take that Haney fight right after he get robbed. Take the Shakur fight after getting robbed by Haney, because he beat Haney.
That's not an excuse, man. He still, I know he got robbed.
Excuse me. Why would he want to fight that fight, though?
Oh, here's the thing. I'm going to start with Jimmy. Loma done fought 2 young up-and-comer dogs in Teofimo and Haney. He just got robbed. You can't ask him to fight Shakur right after that. Maybe let him get maybe 1 interim fight. I don't really, as a neutral fan, I'm not upset with Loma for turning down that fight.
Well, my thing about it is my thing about it is this: you can ask him to fight Shakur Stevenson, but at some point Lomachenko has to get away from that amateur Eastern European school of thought, because he's always been the type of guy that he doesn't complain about size of the ring, location of the fight. He's like his friend Alexander Usyk. It's tell me when and where. That's all. But now I think he should start thinking like a professional boxer, because look, Devin Haney, somebody went up to him on Twitter and they said, man, if you're going to fight Tank Davis, you got to accept the rehydration clause or the weight stipulations like Ryan Garcia did. And Devin Haney replied by saying, kiss my ass. So yeah, sometimes sometimes you got to protect yourself and go, you know what? They want to fight dirty. I'm going to fight dirty too. Lomachenko, they asked him to fight Shakur Stevenson. What were they going to pull off? I don't know. If I'm Lomachenko, I should be starting to think, well, is he going to miss weight again? Is he going to hit me in the balls and the ref's not going to do anything about it? Like, you got to think about these things. And he said, you know what? Forget about this. I'm not going to try to be his layup. I'm gonna wait and see if I can get something else.
Nah.
Exactly.
Can I tell you what I was? Can I tell you what I was told? I was told that Loma was going to retire. He was walking the fuck away, and that's how Bob was able to convince him not to, by saying you don't have to go in again. It's like you just get your confidence back in the win column, and then make the big fight. As long as he's still competing, he's always going to push the best. But you know what I mean? I can't blame the dude. Fucking. And the thing is, every time he gets robbed or it's a close fight, none of these guys, and that's on Bob. If Bob really was protecting Lomachenko, he would have had fucking rematch clauses built into his contracts. Exactly. In actuality, Bob has kind of fucked Lomachenko over. He should have had fucking mandatory rematches, and he never he never put him in there. So if I was Loma, I'd be kind of pissed at Bob too.
He should have put that rematch clause for Loma, though, but I don't think Devin would have signed it, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He didn't. There was often, and Haney did say no. He didn't want it.
I mean, because at the end of the day, he wanted to fight like a long time ago. So it's like, at the end, would you give it to him after you've been waiting so long?
Oh, and that's another thing too. Can I just add too? The other night, Saturday night, during the telecast of the fight on DAZN, when they had fucking of course, because they were taking so long between the fights and interviewing everybody, but they had Haney on there. And you see Haney again. This motherfucker, I just never see these motherfuckers lie with such ease. When they said, how come it was so important that you fought Lomachenko? Well, you see, we was trying to, he was ducking me for years. And then, like, dude, shut the fuck up. That's a provable, stupid lie, dude. And they just keep pushing out the same lie. That's his father's game. And father like son, he teaches them just lie, but you say the lie loud enough and often enough, it becomes fact to these people.
The biggest lie was they were moving down to 135. That was the biggest lie.
Hey yo, listen. This was I totally agree with Jimmy. Lomachenko did not duck Devin Haney ever, and Jimmy does make a good. I think BDA made a video of Jimmy of what he when he broke it down. Right, y'all should go check that out. By the way, if y'all believe what's the name supposedly Haney says
Man, we don't believe nothing that man says. Hey,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I'd be
I
questioning,
appreciate that.
but I don't. I mean, I don't like to. But like,
no,
what do you
yeah,
think?
but
What proves that he? Because it looked like Lomachenko wasn't really seeking the Devin fight. Like Devin was his mandatory. So why do you agree that?
He had the
Well,
TO fight.
I'll explain it. I'll explain exactly how it happened. Lomachenko won the lightweight belt, right? August 2019. On August 29th. When he won the belt, right? 2 weeks later, Haney was named the mandatory. You know what was going on? Know what was going on at that time? Well, he was in camp to fight Santiago. Okay, so now he's in camp. So obviously he's not trying to fight Loma because he's in camp to fight that kid Santiago. In that fight in November of that year in 2019, he tore his rotator cuff to the point on December 10th, he went under the knife, had surgery. By December 10th, when he was going under the knife to have surgery, Lomachenko had already signed a contract to fight Teofimo Lopez.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? There's no time there was by the time prior to 2019, Haney was still being talked about as a fucking prospect. He was only 20 years old. Right. What did he accomplish prior to that? So Loma had no intentions or wasn't looking to fight Haney because Haney was a nobody.
Broke it down perfect.
Haney was basically busy, and there was nothing. I mean, there was really nothing in the Haney fight to fight Haney. Tio was worth more to fight Tio because it was
that's the fight everybody was clamoring for back in 2019. Haney and Teofimo Lopez. And by the way, after that surgery, he was on the shelf for 11 months to get healed. By the time he was even healed and okay to fight, fucking Lopez was looking to fight Cambosa. He was the champ. See what I'm saying? So that whole thing that where he pushes that narrative that, well, they ducked us, we wanted to fight them for years. Dude, that is just a bold-faced propagandist lie. And he keeps repeating it over and over.
Well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. They bring up the franchise thing because they go, well, Lomachenko's side requested the franchise status. But that doesn't preclude.
I'm not saying y'all wrong. I'm just trying to learn here. You understand?
Right,
what I'm
saying? But hold on. Let me just finish this because the rebuke to all of this from the Haney fans would be, well, Lomachenko and his team they requested the franchise status, which would have eliminated the mandatory status from the next best contender. But that still, first of all, that still doesn't preclude the Haneys from offering him, making him an offer to fight, which they didn't. As soon as the franchise thing came into play, they said, they took the email title that the WBC gave him. And of course, people also forget the thing is that how can you, so Teofimo Lopez at that point was more proven than Devin
Way
Haney.
More.
So how is fighting a more proven opponent and instead of fighting a 21-year-old prospect, how is that ducking? It makes no sense. People just really dislike Lomachenko. And
exactly what it's based on. And another thing, too, I'd like to add to what Mr. BDA put, too. When Haney and Suleiman was on with Bill, and Bill kept trying to talk over him because he didn't want him to say it, Suleiman put him in his place with that. He said, Bath, you remember when you took that belt, that WBC, what everybody called email belts, when you took that fucking championship WBC belt, that instantly took you away from being the number one mandatory because now you're a champion. You're not a mandatory. So you realize by taking this belt, you're giving up your mandatory status. Yeah, no problem. Give us the belt. And then they turn around and say, oh, you ducked us. There was a physical impossibility for that fight to have taken place after Lomachenko became champion, and prior to him becoming champion, there was no need to even talk about it because first off, Loma wasn't the champion, 135, and the other boy was just a prospect. It's all fallacy.
He took the belt and still complained. That's basically what you're saying.
Exactly.
What it is, Jimmy, I'm gonna. This is what it is, and it needs to come from a black man. I'm a black man. I'm gonna say it. Some reason in boxing, right? And I've been watching. Someone said they've been watching since the '90s. That's roughly since I've been watching. My first fight I ever watched was Felix Trinidad versus Bernard Hopkins, pay-per-view. But anyways, since I've been watching, as I got older, I'm 36 now. There's some sort of like cross racism going, where it's like it's the opposite now. Now there's racists against the whites, saying that anyone that's white now is trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is not true, and that's that's why you guys know my favorite fight is Tiafimo, and I never when we grew up with all my friends, it never was about this guy black. You just picked a fighter, right? And then they duked it out, and your guy won or my guy won. But for some reason, as time gone on, it's like I don't know if it's just liberal or gender. Some reason the cross it's like cross racism.
Exactly
I can't
what
even
it
root
is.
for Tiafimo, like without being because he's not black. I'm
Yeah,
like, wait a minute,
it's the
what
code
happened?
bullshit. Yeah, it's the code bullshit. That's all. You're 100%
And
right.
I feel you. Even though, like sometimes I troll Baby Joker with the Mexican shit. Like it's like, damn, he can't even support his own kind. Like they say he's biased to only, but he loves it no way. That's the crazy part of it. He loves it no way.
But we got it with Mexicans too, because when I was more of a Triple G guy, and when Canelo was doing his whole 155 catch weight and waiting him out, I was going at it hard with the Mexicans, man. I'm like, and I called him out the first was, I'm like, yo, man, we can't be like that. You can't just lie to yourself and make up excuses just because you're Mexican, bro. Just call it like it is. But
right.
You know what I mean? But there was a lot of people in Mexico that were calling out Canelo because it was bullshit. He stalled them out for years, and they were like, "Come on, man, just fight this guy already." And
right.
but there was a lot of that, man. But it is. I don't
Do you
know
see what
it is.
I'm
And now
talking about, though?
there's
Like,
a civil war, though. There's a civil war going on between the Haney. Anybody who's against Tank.
Yes.
That's like the Shakur people. They're getting attacked. The Devin people. It's weird seeing Devin get attacked because Devin's always been pro LDBC, right? So is his dad. His dad's going on LDBC shows saying we only LDBC.
I really don't know why people hate on Devin. Devin's done everything we would want a modern day fighter that like a back in the day fighter would do.
I'm sorry. Who's Devin? Shakur?
No, but I mean, Devin's a punk. I mean, Devin's a punk. Don't get me wrong. He doesn't have that personality, that charisma, and he was given a gift decision. That sits sour with people, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, he is making moves, right? So you got to give him some credit for fighting these guys.
Well, I gotta tell you, man,
I give Devin a lot of credit.
This is a very interesting conversation.
We could say Bill be up here lying, but some of it be lies mixed in with the truth. So sometimes you can't know the difference, but it's still respect because a man shows his face.
Yeah, and you know what?
Bill's a good manager. He's a good manager. He manages his son well. I'll give him that. I don't like the guy, but he's done a great job at moving his kid.
Yeah, man. I mean, you need a snake. You need a guy with snake-like qualities as a manager, especially because boxing is a dirty business. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Rapax Trucking Company for his contribution with the super chat. He says the only reason Ryan is popular is because of De La Hoya. The Mexicans and Mexican-American community follow De La Hoya. Ryan stunk it up against Tank. Well, I mean, he was famous before boxing the Rapax, but you're right that if he starts associating himself from De La Hoya and he starts proving to be a numbnuts, then people are going to turn on him. Already people are turning on him. Shout out to High and Low Sports Centrum for his contribution with the super chat. He says, BDA, the home of boxing. Well, shout out to you, High and Low. Thank you for your contribution, man. Really appreciate it. And shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution. He says, the journalists that never been in the ring that don't really like boxing are the ones that try to shove the boring style down our throats. Absolutely. Again, people seem to think that the back foot bitch style, the ass style, is the epitome of boxing, and it really isn't. If you want to, for me, the guy who can pressure a guy and do it smart and still knock guys out, that is harder to do, or more difficult to do rather, than running around.
BDA, because I heard you say that we were talking about skills. You were saying that's just as skillful to knock someone out. It's actually harder to knock someone out than you just get a unanimous decision. That's a fact.
It's always been an ignorant fucking trope when it comes to Mexicans. Like somehow they don't fight with skill. I've boxed. My family's been in boxing for 100 years. The hardest boxing is inside fighting. The hardest thing to learn to conquer is being in the pocket and being able to not get hit and put the fucking leather on people. I just say the name Salvatore Sanchez. Fuck out of here. Mexican style is like some kind. It's not difficult. Go, all right, then I'm like this. Okay, go be the next Salvatore Sanchez since it's so easy.
That's how you know Jimmy's that's how you know Jimmy's an Italian, because instead of calling him Salvatore.
And you got to differentiate the aggressive styles, because we do see reckless aggressive styles. Like when I think reckless aggressive style face first, I think of the guy who fought Tim Bradley. What's his name from the Siberia?
Provodnikov.
Yeah.
Provodnikov, yeah.
Or the guy from Canada that we just saw on the undercard that called out Canelo, where he's just swinging for the fences and you know he's wide open. Now that's different. But when you like a cold, calculated guy that can cut down the ring, use the jab, it's hard. Like a guy like Triple G, he was a master at it. So and even to Canelo to some degree, because he does right now, he's just using his power. He's relying on his power, but he doesn't really get hit a lot. He's coming forward and he's using the head movement, the parries, you know, the feints and the things that set it up. So yeah, there is a reckless aggressive style. And I think Navarrete kind of falls in the middle of that because he does get popped a lot. But yeah, that's the thing, man. It's just,
Daniel Hardman in the chat says J-Rock, that's talking about Julian Williams, has been a really good inside fighter. Watch his fight against Jarrett Hurd. See, that's a fight where that was one of the best performances ever from anybody that I've ever seen when J-Rock beat Jarrett Hurd, because he was outboxing from long range, but he wasn't running. And then he would get in the mid-range and he would whack him with overhand rights. That was, if you're a boxer or just a fan of boxing, watch that fight for the complete package of what a guy can do, long range, mid-range, and inside. J-Rock showed it all. It's too bad his chin sucks. He can't take a punch. But on that night, he was...
Exactly.
On that night, he was fucking sensational. Now listen, fellas.
That was my fight of the year by far. That was a great fight, boy.
All right. Well, listen, fellas, we got to go.
You heard.
We got to go. It's been 2 hours here. I got to shut it down here, but we'll try to be back before the end of the week. You guys can stay in the Discord here and keep talking boxing. But shout out to everybody that joined us. I'm talking about What's the Truth, Straight G, Southpaw Lefty, Recognize, Mirage, Jimmy, Irish Andrew Ward, DP, Badfish Boxing, aka Never Sobers, Black Call General, and everybody else that was on as well who left. Shout out to you, everybody in the chat: Earl Stevens, Eparokua, Rapax Drunken Companies, Robin Hood, Windy City, Henry, Ismail Barroso in the house. I hope that's the real one. I'm going to pretend it is. Knockout Ned. Everybody. Shout out to you fellas. Thank you for joining us. Guys,